Hello? Should turn this down.
Hello?
Hello? Is this thing on?
Welcome. Look at our fancy microphones. Mine's pink.
Bumping things. Fancy mics. We got some new, like, things for stream. I think this is the first time that we're using, like, the stuff that I actually set up right.
Right.
Hold on.
Yeah. Dude, it's like 100 degrees out. I don't actually know how hot it is. And my dad, like, a half hour before we started the live stream, was like, hey, I need your help. And I was like, okay, I can help you for a half hour before I, like, go do my job. He's, like, hanging something from the ceiling. His boat is, like, in our back garage. It's, like, in pieces because there's, like, a hole in it or something. So he had to, like, rebuild it entirely. And now he's putting the deck back in the boat, but he's one person. So, like, how do you get a huge deck back into a boat?
Yeah.
So he's attaching, like, a winch-type system to the like, ceiling of our garage. And the reason his boat is in our garage is because it's cheaper than if it were at, like, I don't know what the right word is, like another, I don't know, a place you gotta pay for to keep your boat. I'm not in the boat.
You don't own a boat?
I don't own a boat. I am
own a boat.
poor.
Also, you guys should let us know how, like, the audio sounds and everything, because we're using kind of a lot of our podcast things for this, so.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. You've opened up the autism folder. My dad used to keep his boat in, like, shelving. I don't know if that's what you call it, but you go into this, like, big warehouse, and then there's this big, like, forklift thing, and it just lifts your boat into, like a shelving unit. It goes into a bookshelf. But
sounds great.
That's
Awesome.
cheaper than keeping your boat on a dock, like at a yacht club or whatever.
Yeah.
But his boat can't be in the water because, you know,
It's in pieces.
there's a hole in it. So.
Yeah. Because the deck is the thing that we've helped him move, right?
The deck is the, like, the like, floor of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that was out
Mm-hmm.
when the trees fell on top of it, right? Yeah. I've helped lift that thing. It's
he found
crazy.
a teeny tiny crack in it from that on the top.
Oh.
So he has to fill the hole with that.
Oh, that sucks. But what's up, everybody? Audio's good, great. Yeah, we're using our, like, podcast thing, and then we each have our own mic, so we don't have to use the lav mics that kind of don't sound as great.
Mm-hmm.
We get to kind of have better things. So, and then we have, like, a new, I don't know, I worked on this a while ago, but we haven't been streaming because of, you know, the things that we always tell you guys about. But we I guess that doc doesn't work, so I'm getting rid of that.
Yeah, a lot of times you have to sign in.
I did sign in
to OBS.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, it's weird. Anyways. So yeah, we have some different things I can show you guys. So we have, like, a bunch of different scenes, but as you can see, this is one that has the chat over me, but it's over my face. So we're not using this one. So instead, because we want to do multi-streaming, so we want to stream, like, here on TikTok, Twitch, and all of that stuff. So this is technically a, like, multi-chat thing.
That's
so
why your name's red.
So you can see, like, Bree, it'll say, like, red, and it'll say your message. So you guys,
we're only on YouTube right now.
Yeah, we're only on YouTube right now, just because.
So that's why it looks like that.
But yeah, that's why you guys' names are red and everything. We have
It's
up over
cute.
here the Spotify. If you guys we're listening to just lo-fi because we're chilling. But we also have some cool things where if I want to, we're gonna use Paula. I can highlight your guys' messages and pin them.
Oh wow, look how fancy.
So it'll be great for today since we're doing a Q&A. So we can put up your guys' questions actually on screen over here, and you guys can, like, I don't know, everyone can see what we're actually talking about instead of just being like, I don't know, you having to know. I don't know, whatever.
My ADD had noticed it because it was moving at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why that happens.
Tracks.
But yeah. I think there's like other things, but I think that stuff is more geared towards the Twitch side. So yeah, something might go off, who knows, and
Yeah.
we'll see how that looks.
Yeah,
But
we've been wanting to stream like gaming content to Twitch more regularly. We want to do, what's the game called?
the Quarry,
God, I want to play the Quarry so bad.
and then we want to play Date Everything because that came out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games we want to play, so eventually we want to do another, like, to do more like gaming streams.
Yeah.
But life has still been lifing because it's Saturday today,
Yeah.
as you guys probably know. But on Monday night,
On a random Tuesday, because we went in at 12.
we went around,
we went at midnight.
we left around midnight. But
But
Monday night,
yeah.
I'm saying, M had to take me to the ER again.
Second time in like
A
this
few
year?
months. Yeah. Last time it was in February, but I went to the ER again. And because I was having like a really bad headache, and we showed up and they called the stroke team because they thought I was having a stroke.
It was very alarming because we just
Yeah.
like casually got like called back to like, I don't know, they like evaluate you first. And this one lady just like casually walks away and then brings like 5 more doctors in, and everybody's like on their like talker things being like, okay, the stroke team, we have a stroke case, blah, blah, blah. And we're like,
I was like, oh, great. It wasn't a stroke. I'm okay. As you guys can see, it was not a stroke, but it was a very scary experience. I literally went to like my doctor yesterday, and she was like, yeah, I got the notification that you were in the ER and they were doing like a stroke panel on you. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So
stress.
I still have, for some reason, it's actually looks a lot better, but the entire week I've also had bad bruising and a rash right where they put my IV in, because they gave me a bunch of like liquids. They gave me like a drug cocktail of like 4 or 5 different drugs. I got like Benadryl, aspirin, Toradol, and like 1 or 2 other things that I don't remember because I was not okay. And M wasn't in the room
Yeah,
when
they sent me to the waiting room.
Yeah, but I got like a CT scan. They like did an EKG. They did all of the like, I don't know.
Yeah, which
Things.
was also why the video didn't go out.
Yeah, so that is why
we went
they're
to the ER again.
Yeah. So it's a part 2 should hopefully maybe come out this upcoming week.
Yeah, dude.
But this is the second time
We tried to edit
where
this fucking
when I
Shanley
try to
video.
get like work on the Shanley video,
Yeah.
I get completely taken out by my body, and I go to the ER. So also, what's up? We've missed you guys too. But we recorded a podcast this week that should hopefully, actually I don't know if it'll be able to come out because we've temporarily lost access to all of our like editing software and things.
We're very poor right
So we're because we use
figure out how to edit without Adobe.
Yeah, we both use Adobe for everything, and we share an Adobe account because Adobe is very expensive.
Yeah.
So we don't have access to Adobe right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like stressful. So, and because both of us are like trained in like graphic design and things, we both only really know how to use like Adobe things proficiently.
Yeah, there are other things that we can use, but we won't be able to use any of the other presets that we have that are meant for Adobe that we paid for prior.
Yeah, and I mean the entire like half of the Shanley part 2 is already done.
I started it.
It's like in a file. M started it, and then I was gonna finish it, and then I went to the ER, and then I was like, okay, we're gonna like kind of take it easy, but I'll get like I was originally thinking that I was gonna push it back to like the video coming out today or tomorrow, and then I got the notification that Adobe is like,
God,
we don't have it right now, because like it is expensive. Because I pay like $60 a month for like the whole Creative Cloud suite, And I know that there might be people who are like, well, listen, it's like DaVinci Resolve is better or whatever, but
the project is already started.
It's already started.
Like hours worth of work in this project.
Yeah.
And starting over would literally take another like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because it's a lot, and yeah, it's a mess. So while we try to figure out what to do about that, we might stream more because we don't need Adobe to stream. Thank God. So.
Yeah, but also, Allison, are you okay?
Yeah, I saw you went to the ER. Are you okay?
While you answer, we recorded a podcast, but we also recorded a part 2 podcast, and we told people on Patreon and stuff like that about we want to do a part 2 to our podcast that is going to be exclusive to members and exclusive to it's going to be on Haunted Smoke and Mirrors because that's where our podcast is located. So if you join either the Patreon or members over on Haunted Smoke and Mirrors, and I'm working on a top tier on all of our like Patreon platforms that will be called like Samael tier or something, because it's
we
the
do
top
like
tier
demon tiers.
It's the top tier of Haunted Smoke and Mirrors. It's the $250 tier. I'm thinking that we're gonna put all of the benefits for all of the all of our like members programs into that $250 tier. So I'm just gonna copy paste that to the rest of our platforms, but I'm working on doing that.
Yeah. So let us know if you guys are interested in that. Oh, we're also thinking about on Smoke and Mirrors Patreon doing the we want to do like exclusive reaction things where we want to react to things like Ghost Adventures, maybe like other like documentaries about cults and stuff, and do kind of like watch along things. But we want to, it's not going to be like our main content, it'll be like extra content just because
exclusive.
We like watching those things in our own time. So like it's not going to be a live thing. We'll like sit down and watch it, add our commentary, and we can like talk about it later. But
yeah, and then the part 2 podcast is going to be all the stuff that we don't want to say publicly, so it's a lot of tea time. The podcast that we recorded is like juicy.
Not even just like tea time. It's gonna be like maybe like small
beyond
things that aren't just that like either aren't gonna like can't be made into like an entire full podcast per se.
Like things about us.
Yeah.
So like we might talk about like being autistic, or like I don't know, things going on in our life. So
yeah. Nelson said, yeah, I'm okay. My throat swelled and I couldn't breathe. They have no idea what happened, tests and stuff. Just put on something for swelling and better now. Well, I'm glad you're better, because that's like
scary.
Very stressful. I hate the ER. Literally, same. I've gone to the ER twice this year, and I have not gone to the ER since I was hit by a car back in 2014.
While crossing the street, like, hit by a car.
Yeah, so I talked to my doctor yesterday, and we're working on trying to actually figure out what might be causing a lot of my issues, because if you guys don't know, I've also since like 2021 have been dealing with chronic nausea and vomiting that they will not figure out, and they can't figure out what it is. But we think it could be some sort of like autonomia dysfunction, which is similar to like POTS, if you guys are familiar with that. So we think it's, with all of the stress and everything, my nervous system doesn't know how to regulate itself properly, and it shuts down. So are they thinking about going to a neurologist? Yes. I am going to a neurologist. I just got the order for the consult.
POTS specialist.
Yeah, so I'm going to see a POTS specialist that my doctor says is like amazing. I'm going to get some genetic testing done to possibly get some like hypermobility and joint issues taken care of. Because I think I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Go see a neurologist and a POTS specialist. They're the same person. It's even better.
The doctor.
So I'm getting I'm going to get genetic testing done, and then I've recently been figuring out that I may actually be OCD.
Same.
And didn't realize it. So after talking to my therapist and then doctor, as of yesterday, I've started new OCD medication, which is a time. And then I haven't really talked about it publicly, but I'm very excited for it. I actually am. I'm waiting just for a fix for the letter from my therapist, but I actually have a consult for top surgery. So I might be able to get top surgery this year, which is like very exciting. I have wanted the titties gone since I got them as a kid. So I don't know, it's been stressful. I know that we've been very like inconsistent and inactive with things, but it solely is so we can take care of ourselves and kind of figure out our health things. So yeah, I'm very excited for top surgery.
Probably me too on the OCD. Is it weird that do people think about thinking, or is that weird? Because the internet, TikTok says that's an OCD thought, that you think about thinking. And it makes me question my entire life.
Yeah.
Because that is literally why I like tell people, this is how your psychic ability works, because not only do I have to think about how I'm thinking, I have to think about how you're thinking as well.
And then Highwind Odyssey, my mom has been in the hospital several times in the last couple of weeks from puking and not being able to keep things down and feeling nauseous.
Oh my gosh.
It is the worst fucking feeling. Literally, will you hand me that bottle? I'm gonna like obviously censor all the information, but I literally keep a bottle of my nausea meds down here at the desk. I have a bottle. I have some in the kitchen. I have some in the bedroom, in the bathroom. I keep this shit on me whenever we go to ghost hunts. I also I have stomach muscle relaxers to specifically help me not throw up, because sometimes I'll just wake up in the middle of the night. I will have no food in my stomach and I will just start vomiting, and it's like the worst fucking thing in the world. This also keeps like falling down, so I'm like, hold on.
Oh, try pulling this like back, because if it goes higher, it needs more weight in the back. That's what I had to do, at least. Yeah. No, I know. That sounds miserable. Yeah, it's been a good time.
Yeah, I've gone to so many doctors over the years trying to get things like addressed, but they kept only looking at certain symptoms I was having. They weren't looking at the whole picture. So after like getting like videos recommended to me on about like dysautonomia, POTS, OCD, like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and like all of that, I started doing like more research and tracking my symptoms, and I was like, oh, I think this could be what is causing a lot of the issues. Because last year sometime, I got I did like a nuclear medicine like gastric solid emptying test where they like track how you process food. That came back normal. I got an endoscope done where they shove a camera down your throat and look into your stomach, and that came back normal. I tried like all the other medications that they tried and nothing helped. I like changed my diet. I've like done everything over the years, and they are just like, there's nothing wrong. But now it's like, oh, it might actually just be my nervous system. So, but I think that's pretty much the like updates. Today is a Q&A where we are going to answer questions about mediumship things specifically. We know that we've been getting a lot more questions and people asking us and just talking about mediumship and like how it works, or being like, I don't get how you can do X, Y, or Z. So we were like, it might be a good time to do like a Q&A, answer questions, kind of explain what we think and our perception of mediumship is. Obviously, like every medium is going to be different, so our experiences are not going to be universal. It's not like a one size fits all thing.
Yeah.
But we wanted to like kind of take the time to maybe answer questions about how we do things as mediums, what we believe, any of that, to try to like also have like a reference point for people to come back to if they like have questions. We can be like, there's a whole live stream for that. So
well, there's a lot of misconceptions with mediumship. Like, people think, oh, you're fake if you can't prove, like, if you can't figure out that I'm lying to you, or that like you are always 100% correct. But like, if you understood how mediumship worked, then you wouldn't be like looking for 100% correct answer every single time.
I was looking for my phone. It's under my chair.
Oh. I was like, what are we looking for?
My phone. I was like, it's not in my pocket. It's not on the desk. Where is it? So, hi, people in the future using for reference. Yes. Hello. So yeah, if you guys like have questions, drop them in the chat. We'll pin them kind of with the thing that I showed earlier. If not, we can just also keep vibing and talking. It's kind of a chill day.
Answer questions about mediumship that we
also might be doing a candle live stream later over on Smoke and Mirrors.
We have 3 orders that we're gonna make. So if you guys are interested in candles, if you want to go to our Etsy shop, Haunted Smoke and Mirrors, then you get to have your candle planned during a live stream. So since we have 3, we have a whole bunch of time to like do that if you want.
So we'll probably stream and do this for like an hour or 2 something, and then we'll like take a hiatus, do a like eat some dinner, take care of our pets, do all of that, and then after later tonight, so maybe around like 7, between like 7 to 8, around there, we'll go live again on Smoke. Well, that'll be over on Smoke and Mirrors.
It'll be on the other channel. If you guys don't know about Smoke and Mirrors, we create crystal candles that represent your spirit guides, or it can represent a deity. You can choose the deity if you want a specific deity for your altar or whatever, or we can interpret one for you, and that goes for spirit guides as well. If you know a spirit guide, you can write that in there and describe what you want, or we can identify one for you. So if you guys are interested in watching us plan and put all of like the things that are inspired by deity or spirit guide, go purchase a candle from our Etsy shop. You can also do it during the live stream, or if you want to watch us do it for other people, we'll be live on the other channel.
Yeah. What should I eat for late lunch? What do you have? We also did a lot of meal prep this week.
We did.
We spent pretty much like an entire day cooking things. Proper questions. We'll probably not do. I don't think we're gonna do like answering like what your specific guides look like, or because that's we consider that more reading questions. So
I might do a live stream for readings later in the week. So if you guys want to come back for that, we can do those later.
What's up, Cree? How you doing? Pizza bagels?
Oh, pizza bagels.
That sounds good.
Dude, we should learn how to make bagels, and then we should learn how to make pizza on the bagels.
You might have to talk louder because you...
I'm talking quiet?
Yeah, you're talking quiet. Just when you were doing that.
Okay.
You're talking so quiet.
What, you can't hear me?
I mean, kind of, but not really. Been sick, but I'm getting there. How are you guys today? Honestly, kind of the same. Stressed, but we're like doing things. I've been RX OCD before, and I think about thinking. I also think about how things work. I've been having vertigo since 2022. You struggle with like vertigo bad, don't you?
Yeah. I have really awful inner ears. I used to get ear infections like once a month when I was a child. I don't have tubes in my ears. I almost had tubes. But like if I go into a plane and like if this is the plane, if they like turn it all, my brain is like, oh, it's going completely over.
I have witnessed it. It is pretty bad.
It is horrible. So I also have motion sickness because of that, because if you think the plane is spinning 360, you know.
Let's see. I actually have a question. Do you think migraines can affect mediumship? Because when we get them, we find it's easier to talk to spirits. Maybe it's just us. Me personally, I've never at least thought about any correlation between migraines and mediumship. but I'm also how I do things personally is anytime I'm like struggling with things or like I'm sick, not feel good, I don't do any mediumship at all because it like stresses me out a little bit more.
Does it make you dissociate when you have that pain to like deal with it? Because they make me feel like that's why you're more open to it. I don't know if that makes sense.
I struggle with anxiety, and if my plans don't work out the way I have planned, I will go into a spiral. Yeah, I've been talking about that with my therapist lately, and I didn't realize that those types of things weren't normal. So my doctor also is, I got a consult for psych to get a like assessment for like the tism and things. So I have like full like diagnoses for all of the things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's why you're more open to it, because it's like the real world kind of like goes away and your mind becomes more open.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say things like, do you think so and so can affect mediumship? So a lot of people also say, if I'm on this like medication, is it going to like block my mediumship? It's like determining on how it affects your psyche. Does it make you more open to like, is the realness here or is it not? It's not necessarily changing anything about your gifts. It's not necessarily affecting your mediumship. It's affecting how receptive you are of it, if that makes sense. So if you are like taking something that makes you like super, super numb, maybe you won't like experience it as much, but that's not necessarily like making it go away or blocking it. It's just your mind is just not in the right space right now.
Yeah, because I do like, I don't know, because like you were talking about with medication, there's a lot of people who are like, well, if you take like certain like recreational drugs, like if you smoke weed or like you're more open to things, and you might feel like you're more open because you're relaxing yourself more. So you're kind of letting go of that ego, which is why people kind of associate the two, and the vice versa. If you're taking like medication that is helping with like anxiety or depression and you think that it's suppressing that, it also is like your own ego. Because at least like for me, I've been on like medications like before, especially like with everything going on. Like I'm on like amitriptyline, which is it's mostly to help with my nerve pain, but also helps with like anxiety, depression, and things. But I've never noticed a change in my mediumship with those things. And obviously like I'm just starting other like medication for like OCD and things. So I'm honestly hoping that it will be easier for me to do like mediumship things, because the like intrusive thoughts that like I get stuck on won't affect me as much. So I'll be able to kind of differentiate between those things, because like as mediums, like, and I've talked about this with my therapist, because my therapist knows that like we do mediumship, that we do all of this stuff. And she's like helping me with everything. So I like we get like mediumship information from like our pets per se, but because we also have trauma associated to things, because like we've lost in the last like year or two, Em and I have each lost one of our pets, and we were both there with each other during it, so we have a lot of trauma around it. So a lot of times for me, I like the OCD thoughts trigger those feelings, and so I have to like make sure that I'm not conflating the two.
Yeah.
But learning how my brain works versus what mediumship feels like when I'm getting it is how I can differentiate between like that information and what is coming from myself. So I'm hoping the medication will make that a little bit easier.
Yeah, so those types of things affect your ego instead of the mediumship itself.
Yeah.
So you could also like think it's going to make you more open. So it's still there. You can still do it. It's just you might need to go through different hoops to remove the like biases and ego that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Peachy Gayboy had a question.
Oh, I know Highwind Odyssey did as well.
Cool.
What's the easiest way to speak to an angel? As a person with clairvoyance, I've never actually seen with my sight any divine things from heaven. I view talking to like communication with like angels the same as anything else, really. They have a different feel for me clairsentiently because I'm very clairsentient. But I mean, we've used like different divination tools. We've used like Ouija boards, pendulums, tarot.
Sorry, I'm like thinking about it.
No, you're totally fine.
I'm like asking the question because it might be because you say that you're a person with clairvoyance, you might be experiencing it with different clair abilities because it might be too like hard for you to imagine what it would be like, or you have an expectation of what it should look like. Because like angels, I don't know, I feel like they stereotypically look like the angels with the big beautiful wings and the like robes or whatever. Michael usually doesn't show up with wings though. I don't know if you see him with wings.
No, not.
Do you see him in clothes?
Yeah.
I see him in, he is like, I guess it changes every time I see him, but like, he's usually blonde curly hair. He has this like beautiful Squidward type face. I know that sounds really weird, but I have opinions about Archangel Michael. But the daemons for me all look the same because they're always in like black suits or like a white button up, and that's how I like differentiate the two. But is that like actually how they look or are perceived? Not necessarily, but that's the easiest thing for me to like understand it as, if that makes sense. So you have to figure out how it comes in for you. It might be like different signs and symbols that like indicate this is a divine being, an angel or whatever. Maybe they show up as a human. Maybe they show up as like a spinning eye thing. Maybe they show up as like the universe, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like that is also when a lot of people like compare mediums to each other. Like there's time, like for instance, our spirit guide Richard, Em and I like see him in similar ways, but there are variations to how he like looks to both of us, and that's because there's still human ego and interpretations that are going to vary between each person. So there could be a spirit in the middle of the room, and all of us in here we could be seeing the same person, but he could look completely different depending on your like, I don't know, your life experiences, your ego, your perception of it, like your life experience. And there's also, or there could be, you know, 3 spirits standing in the room. I could see one, Em could see a different one, and you could see the third. So it's not everyone is going to like pick up on exactly the same things in the exact same ways.
Yeah.
It's there's more like nuance to it. Em and I were talking about this a little bit last night. I kind of equate it to, we could all sit down and watch like a video or a movie together, and I might absolutely love the movie. It like resonated with me. It fit. But for you, you're like, it was all right, but I'm not like a huge fan of it. I'm just kicking the desk.
There's a lot of things around me.
It doesn't mean that the movie is good or bad. It's just your personal interpretation of everything.
Yeah, because that goes with a physical person. If you have a physical person in the room, I'm going to describe different things about that physical person than you would. So, like, for me, you might think that I'm monotone, boring, dark, whatever, but other people are like, oh, yeah, she's got, like, golden retriever energy, and she's just tiny and cute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's interpretations of the same energy. So that's why people are always so confused. Like, skeptics come in and they're like, oh, they just exposed a medium because they're like seeing something completely different. are we seeing something completely different, or do we have different like perceptions of what information is being given?
Yeah. I was gonna say something and then I completely forgot it.
Sorry.
No, it's not you. I lost the thought. But yeah, there's a lot of like, I don't know, misconceptions about mediumship.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. There's also like mediumship is never going to be 100% accurate. Because I know a lot of people when they're like if you can prove you're a medium, like I'm gonna put like a secret word in the envelope and like seal it, and spirit will like if you're a medium, you can talk to spirit and they'll tell you what it is. But that is, to us, that is not how mediumship works, which I know people might be like weird about that, but like spirit can lie. There's interpretations. A lot of times they give us information that in a way that I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm like mixing all my words. For example, we did a reading for someone who's like a private reading for that someone won in the raffle things that we did back in January. And he asked for us to talk to his grandparents, and his grandpa came forward and he was explaining what was going on in his son or his grandson's life based on my personal experiences on what was the closest thing for me to understand what was happening to him. And then I was able to use that to convey the information. And that is more how it works, because it's hard to know something. Like if you don't absolutely have no like idea about anything, it's hard to just like know things fully. A lot of times they're using things that you already know to try to explain the situation. It's like a game of charades or telephones, and things can be wrong. Just like you, like in school, you could have one teacher who teaches you math and you're like, this makes no sense. I don't understand how to do any of these equations. This is so difficult. And then you could go to a different math class where the teacher explains it in a different way and you're like, oh, I understand what you're saying. So it's kind of like a weird thing.
It also goes through different filters. So like I have a filter of my own ego and biases. The person that I'm talking to in spirit has their own way of speaking and own personal biases. And then the person that you're talking to also has a filter and certain biases. So like, for example, if you go up to a medium and you try to like test them, and maybe you like lie about information. So you like lie that you have like a sister, but you don't have a sister. And you're like, tell me about my sister. You just gave that person ego. You just gave them an interpretation of, okay, I'm going to read the energy of your sister. They're trusting you that you're telling the truth. So they're going to try to find the information that you're like asking for. So now we have a filter of like whoever they're pulling the information from as well, being like, okay, maybe their sister's not really real. Maybe they're talking about something else. Like, but they're going to interpret it based on the lie you just said.
Yeah. Gosh, I like have thoughts, and then the second you finish talking, it like leaves my head, and I don't know where it went.
Yeah, it goes through multiple filters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because like, I could tell you certain things, because one of the things I like to explain to people is like, if I gave you a grayscale picture of fruit, and I'm like, okay, what color is the banana? Everyone is gonna be like, oh, it's yellow, and I'm like, well, no, it's gray.
Yeah.
Interpretation biases.
And then when it goes towards like mediums being like accurate or not, my personal opinion is if there is a medium who says or is like 100% accurate every single time, I personally don't trust that as much. It goes with like if I watch an investigation video, if like people are doing like an Estes method and they're getting constant names and exact details, and it's like everything is like too accurate. I don't trust it as much because it's not ever going to be 100% accurate. To me, there needs to be times where things don't line up or they don't make sense, or it's just straight wrong, because that's showing the actual like truth of the things. And like humans get things wrong. We interpret things horribly. It's like there can be people who like look at us and have like, we've had people like make comments like, oh, like recently I saw a comment about me saying that they think that I'm like just completely like, I show so many signs of deception that it could be raining, and if I said yeah it's raining, they wouldn't believe me. But it's like, that is their interpretation. I was not doing anything deceptive. I was not doing anything at all, but that was their perception of it. They were wrong, but that wasn't my perception. So
yeah, it's like when you do an SS method and everything makes sense, it's hard to know if that's just the biases of you want it to make sense to the story or if it actually fits.
Yeah, but let's do Peachy Gay Boy.
Peachy Gay Boy.
When y'all channel someone's guides, how do you keep the conversation going with the guide? Because I feel like the connection dwindles the more I try to talk to them.
That happened to me when I first started doing it, because it was very much like, okay, now what?
That happened to me too. For me, I felt like I was the one who was causing it. And I do think I am the one who was causing it, because my ego started, the longer it went on, the more I got in my own head about the information I was getting. So at least for me, if it feels like it starts dwindling or it's just like not working, I'll just let it go and move on, or I'll write down what I think it is. And then if I talk to that guide again later, I'll like go through the motions again. But I don't know, at least for me, usually if it starts dwindling or they stop giving me information, it's just kind of like they're done talking about, like, I got the information I was supposed to about that was important, so that's it.
So for me, when I first started doing mediumship, it was a lot of pressure, and I felt like I had to do it in a very specific way. So I thought I had to like go through like a list of questions, or like imagine a dark space, or like clear my mind or whatever. But that actually stopped the information from coming in. So a lot of times that can be an issue of why you feel like the connection starts to dwindle, because there's more pressure on you, more information from you in order to continue the conversation. So you're always like, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know what information to get. Like, so for me, I mediated that by learning how my abilities work. So for me, because I am very clairaudient, if I stop talking in my head or stop my thoughts, I can't get more information in, because if you are getting clairaudient information, you have to like hear or say the information in some context. So if you're not hearing or saying the information, it's not going to come in. So in my head, they'll give me like the first thought, because I also do like claircognizance, which is thoughts, like clear thoughts, or clairsentience, which is like feelings. So they'll give me that initially, or like maybe visual information, whatever it is. I get that, and then I'll just start talking about that. And while I'm talking, then they'll give me more information, because now it's like the playhead is going forward, so you can play the rest of the movie instead of like going into the movie theater and it just stops at one point because you're trying to like clear your thoughts, if you will. So like with tarot, for example, that's how I started. I would just start talking about the meanings of the cards. And then when I say certain things, they're like, oh, yeah, that actually relates to this person in this way. So then I can be like, the reason why this card is here is because it's affecting this area of your life. Does that make sense? You need something to allow the playhead to keep going forward.
Yeah, and for me, when it comes to like clairsentience, because that was one that was a little hard for me, because I have like trauma around like moderating and being a people pleaser, and like like, what is the word? I pretty much would take other people's emotion, mediating, thank you. Mediating other people's emotions, or taking what they're feeling and forcing it to, like, I was feeling what they were feeling constantly. By like going through therapy and like working on like setting boundaries in my physical life and understanding what is my emotion, versus what is like M's emotion, let's say. It made it so when I knew what my emotions felt like, so then when spirit made me feel something else, it was easier to identify that it was something else. So that's for me, that's kind of how I like, for like an example.
They're also saying for you, it might be easier for you to do something to distract your like conscious thinking mind, because you get caught up of like, what do I do now? But they'll tell you what to do next. So a lot of times I'll explain, like, if you have cards, shuffle cards. You don't have to like pull cards. You can just shuffle, because it's like a repetitive motion, so that you forget that you are supposed to be performing, if that makes sense. Or you can take a piece of paper and like scribble on it, because you'll see other mediums do that as well. There is like a very, very famous medium. They like made a TV show about her. Like, I think the TV show is literally called Medium, where they like do the medium, and that helps with like police things, like finding people. And they based it off of this medium that would literally like scribble like on a piece of paper, nothing on the paper, just literally like back and forth scribbles, because the repetitive motion takes away the like conscious pressure ego.
Then I was gonna do Micah. How can someone who hasn't been / stopped working on strengthening their abilities get back into it, or what methods do you think is the best way? For me personally, I've had periods of time where I've been more spiritual, and then it's kind of waned and I get back into it. For me, it's been refinding what brought me the kind of excitement of like being spiritual, of practicing and doing things. So like recently, like in the last like year or so, because of everything going on, I was struggling to feel like connected to mediumship. And I, like, when we weren't doing content, I was just kind of shutting down and not doing anything, because it felt like too much pressure and I was getting too much in my head and holding myself back. So we've been doing more like research things for like the upcoming deep dive videos, and I realized that what I enjoy so much about it is learning new things, and I kind of ignited my like spark for learning new information, like thinking about different theories, like questioning things and kind of taking in information, because I felt like I got stuck in the place of only outputting information, not really learning anything myself. So to me, it's just kind of figure out like what makes you excited about like about doing it.
I also feel like you might be struggling to where to start. Are you artistic? I know you're in our like lives a lot, but I'm not sure. Are you like artistic? Because I feel like that might be a good place to start, because they make me feel like it makes you feel more connected to the intuitive side of you. It makes you feel less like rigid and like you have to like have everything together. You can just be you. So they're like, start there, and that's going to help you get back into things. Yeah, and people are talking about, I start swaying back and forth. Is that like going into a trance? And like people being like, imagine a psychic reader pulling out a fidget spinner.
Also, listen, hi Alex, I love you.
People don't have fidget spinners, but they usually have crystals, and they like do like worry stone shit to their crystals.
My therapist has a fidget spinner.
Does she pull it out?
Oh, I play with it during my session.
Oh, you play with it?
Yeah. No, she has it on like
sense.
on the table next to the couch, and she has like that and Rubik's Cube and things, because I do better when I'm like fidgeting with things, which is why a lot of times during streams or whatever, like you might see me like playing with like I don't know, I have like bad habits where I like pick at my nails or I like play with things. So I always do that when I'm processing things, because I struggle with converting the like thoughts and what I'm feeling into verbal things a lot of the times, which is why there's times in videos when we're like channeling information, if I'm not doing that, it's a little bit harder for me to pull it out. And that's when I've really been noticing that is when I use like a lot, and it's like slower, and I'm like, you know, like, because I'm putting in buffer words to try to process the information as it comes out. But if I play with something, like this is literally like a Velcro like thing for our mics.
Yeah.
It helps distract me and give me something physical that makes it kind of relieves the pressure to allow me to like speak a little bit clearer. So
She says not really, but I do like coloring. Yeah, I feel like you need to do something that makes you feel more like you.
And then this kind of goes in what we were talking about, kind of goes into Litsy's question. I struggle with telling the difference between an anxious thought and a thought from spirit, which leads to frustration and discouragement. Does this happen to you guys as well? All the time. For me, all the time.
Usually when you get information from spirit, it doesn't come in anxiously, because we are so used to not listening to the like spirit information that it seems more like a passing thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I get frustrated a lot with things because, like, for example, with cats, with like our pets. Before our cat Shinzi died almost 2 years ago, Em and I both were picking up some like psychic information, and we knew something was wrong. And then literally the next day, like, we woke up and she had passed in our living room.
And the information was literally, why are you on the ground so much?
Something feels off.
I'm going to take you to the doctor tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and it's the same, that same type of thing happened with my cat Shitty Kitty, who passed back in December.
It's just weird.
Yeah. I like woke up and
thinking.
I was like, this is wrong. Like, this doesn't feel right. And she passed that day.
Weird. Yeah.
So that just kind of was like this is weird. And it seems like a little bit of an intrusive thought type thing. Like, it just comes out of nowhere, at least for me. But my anxious thoughts about the rest of our pets is, I'm like, oh no, like Tofu is like laying and she's sleeping, but I can't like, I can't
see if she's breathing.
Yeah,
or
I
not.
can't.
She must be gone.
She's not breathing. Like,
anxious thoughts.
A lot enough. Like, oh my gosh, like is this happening again?
Like, oh
and
my
it's
God.
that anxiety of like, oh my gosh, something is wrong.
This thought so much that like it's going to happen.
Which also
That's
like again ties into like, at least for me, like my OCD things that I've been learning about. So for me, anytime if I am experiencing like something and I'm like, I genuinely cannot tell, I ask M. I'll be like, hey, I feel this way. I know that I have trauma about this thing, but are you getting any information about this, or is this just my anxiety? And she can be like, that is just your anxiety. That's everything is fine. So it's like, okay. So if you can have someone like help check you in that, I think that's really important. And at least for me also, being in therapy kind of helps me understand my own thoughts, how my anxiety and everything works. So that way I can tell the difference a lot clearer.
Yeah. She says, it's because I worry a lot and random thought will pop in like, hey, this bad thing is happening to your parents. And then I sit there and I'm thinking, was that spirit warning me or an intrusive thought? Usually when you get a spirit, like psychic information, that is just the information. It's not a like worry overthinking, let me just like go through this over and over and over again. It's very much like, why am I feeling like this? Where is this coming from?
And you can that is also where designating signs and symbols can also help with things at times. Because you can have something like, I don't know, a raven feather or rainbows or something to help kind of give confirmation of things. And then I know that there might be people who are like, well, if you're looking for that sign, you're going to see it more, which is true. So I don't know how, because I don't do signs and symbol. Most of M's signs and symbols just became mine because I don't do
There's
signs and symbols the same.
There's a difference between seeing your sign and symbol and being given your sign and symbol, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like we, like I think we've told the story before, but there was one time we were doing witchcraft in our kitchen, and we both kind of felt like we were doing something not fully right, but we just kind of kept doing it. And then one of M's signs of a centipede, an actual centipede,
so big,
that was giant, started like running at us inside our house in the kitchen. So that is a very like, okay, maybe that is like a sign for it. Especially like we don't, that's the first time I've seen a centipede in our house, like inside our house.
I should tell you, that was right before we went on vacation. I put that shit under a Solo cup and we left.
Yeah.
The Solo cup was thrown away. So I'm pretty sure my parents, who were taking care of our animals, threw the Solo cup out. So I wonder if that centipede was under
That's when we went to Chicago, right?
I don't remember.
I think so. I think that's right before we went to Chicago.
But literally, I just remember that cup being gone and me being like, oh yeah, my like father, mother, someone like threw that cup out, and I really wonder if they like the centipede was still under there.
Because like we, like for us, we've been getting like the numbers 1, 2, 3 a lot.
All the fucking time.
Which obviously because it's happened so much, now it's like we're more conscious of it. So now
you see it all the time, so you're like, it's not really.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, well now like it's not whatever. So usually too, if I am like, I don't know if that is actually like a sign or symbol of something, I'll then ask for like a second thing that is completely different.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I usually, whenever I try to do signs and symbols, I'm like, I'm gonna pick the like weirdest, randomest thing that is not like popping up any like, I don't like, it's not something that's just gonna pop up on my For You feed. It's on like TikTok or Twitter or whatever. It's not, I'm not gonna run into it on like a day-to-day basis. It's like some weird thing. And then if I see that somehow, and like I don't speak it out loud, I don't tell anyone, I just think it in my head, and then if it happens, then I'm like, okay. And then usually I'm kind of weird. I require at least three major things to like happen in order for me to like fully confirm it. Because I don't watch like readers or anything on TikTok or anything. I like, my TikTok is not focused on spirituality because I have a lot of opinions, which we talk about in the podcast we just recorded that will be coming out at some point. But there are times where like a reading will like pop in and it feels relevant, and I'll be like, okay. But then if I watch that and then I get another reading that's like the same theme and that's what it turns into, then I'm like, okay, maybe the first one was a sign, but now like the algorithm knows that I watched it, so it's feeding me more. So which is kind of why I struggle with like signs and symbols, because especially when it comes to technology personally, I think you can get them, but also you have to take into account like an algorithm, and that these companies are, if you watch something about like a tornado and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a sign and symbol, and then you start getting tornado videos, you're not gonna like, that's so.
Yeah, I mean, my signs and symbols, I share them with everybody and I see them everywhere, but when they actually mean things to me is literally when it feels like the Matrix is breaking. Like, we literally, like, dragonflies is one of my signs and symbols, okay? Fucking dragonflies. And we were literally getting our nails done for my friend's wedding and we were inside of a building and a dragonfly landed on Riker's arm. And it was during this time where I like was leaving my long-term relationship and trying to figure out where I was going to fucking live. And on the TV, they're talking about home refinance.
Yeah. Or like the other day, we were outside in our backyard talking with M's dad, and a butterfly like landed next to me, and it made me think of my grandma, who passed. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it's just because like my aunt sent me a picture of a butterfly and we talked about it a few days ago. So like maybe that's that. So I asked M is this true? Which is why M and I do that a lot. It's just to kind of get another unbiased like thing, like check in. But then right as I like finished asking M that, my aunt texted me again. So I was like, okay, like the timing of it could just be a coincidence, but at least for me, it felt important. And I also think that it should be okay if seeing a butterfly and thinking like, oh, my grandma sent me this butterfly. This like that is a comfort for me. To me, that should be okay. I know that there's people who would try to make it seem like I'm just wanting that. And like, well, it's just a butterfly. You're outside. It's not a sign. But it felt comforting and gave me peace. And it's not hurting anyone.
I mean, that's kind of how spirit's supposed to work. Peace and clarity.
Has a demon ever asked either one of you if you want to sell your souls? No.
Yes.
I love when Em reads chat and I see her asking, is this true in her head? Yeah. Which I do think it's a little funny that it's like caught on with the community that people do that a lot.
What
is this true?
Mm-hmm. We do it all the time. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot easier because, I don't know, we were doing Ouija board things by ourselves. So I'm like, you're doing the same thing, just you don't have a Ouija board. So, yeah.
And it also, like, I don't know. I always try to preface it and be like, this is like, it's not a science. We're not saying that, like, when we give answers, it's not going to be like 100%. Because there's times where I can have like a strong intuitive feeling about something and I ask M, like, is this true? And she says no. And I'm like, it actually still feels right. So I'm going to go with my gut on that. Mm-hmm. So I like to make sure that people know that we're not like just doing it to try to get like confirmation bias. We're trying to like check our ego and like actually determine if something we are like feeling is intuitive. And there are times where it's gonna be wrong, like we talked about earlier. So
yeah, I just want to know how to sell my soul, because I like to tell people that I've sold my soul to Beelzebub. He doesn't talk to me very often, which is very rude of him.
Yeah,
but he's also like, very rude.
We've never like been. It's not like we've talked to demons about the topic and asked about it, but we haven't like. It's not like it's like sell your soul for things like.
We give them other things.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say that. But I give them my trauma, and then we have a good, lovely talk where I get sad. So I don't know if that counts.
Yeah. Jada, do you guys see things that get info spontaneously, even when your mediumship is turned off? I only get info when I try to read into something, when sometimes I would like it to be spontaneous. Yeah, I would say.
All the time.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like what happened recently that was a like.
We walked out of the doctor's appointment yesterday, and this doctor's building has a whole bunch of plants. I walked out and I was like, why do I feel the sensation of like water, but like my face is leaves? And so the plants were telling me it was gonna rain, and then like our drive home, it started raining. They were telling me how they want to be wet because it's really fucking hot outside.
Yeah.
Or like we passed like a body of water. It's been raining like shit over here. And it was just like, I don't know where all the water is gonna go. I'm so full. Or like fucking Henry.
Yeah.
Try to ignore Henry. And if you guys don't know who fucking Henry is that fucking lamp. And I was like, I keep seeing people fucking walking around who aren't fucking there. And then this lamp is like, woo, I'm so excited to be put out, because Riker was moving in. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. This is amazing. I look adorable. This is a really great shelf. I like being in this house. You guys are amazing. You guys are so cute. And I'm like, shh, shut up. Why are you so happy? I am sad. Let me be sad. And Henry's like, woo!
Yeah, I struggled with the like spontaneous mediumship when I was first getting into it. But the longer I do it, I would say the more it's become kind of spontaneous. Like the other day, or I think it may have been yesterday, we were sitting on the couch and I was just like looking outside randomly, and it looked like there was a man who wasn't there, like walked like across the street and like just like whew, like vanished. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that was like if it was actually someone like in a window and like I just didn't see him, or if that was actually something. But
yeah, the more you develop your mediumship, the more you are open for that experience to happen. And it's not necessarily that you're open, it's still happening to you, but your brain is less likely to be like, oh, I didn't even like notice or see that because that's normal.
Yeah, or I wasn't looking for the information, so
yeah,
anything that you're getting isn't there. So it's like, for me, it just came with time, honestly.
One of the things that I didn't like, I thought was normal, is if you like walk down the stairs and you like think you see someone sitting in the kitchen because you're just used to people being in the kitchen, and then you have just fucking sensitive friends all the time and they're like, who's in this house? Why do they look like this? And I'm like, so you're telling me that I wasn't just like seeing someone standing in the kitchen because I was expecting to see someone standing in the kitchen, that they're actually a spirit and I actually don't recognize them? My brain didn't just make that up.
Mm-hmm.
When you start developing your mediumship, you start listening to the passive like information that comes into your brain. So it's not necessarily that your mediumship is off. You're just not actively trying to talk to someone. It's like being in like a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to talk to the people that are at the booth like over there, but you can still see and hear them.
Yeah.
You know?
What's up, Brandon?
Henry!
Yeah. Jamie!
Oh, welcome.
And look at that. We still got our Ouija board.
It's gonna spell your name!
Yeah.
Welcome to Scooby Snack.
What's up?
Join the Discord.
Sorry, I know we're also like, I'm behind on pinning messages, but anytime I'm in the presence of a low vibrational entity, demons, or whatever, I get the sharp burning but very centralized pain in the dead center of my head. Do you guys feel a similar thing? I usually get like, we joke about it and call it spooky chills because someone else that we know like would say it. So I get like weird, like, it's kind of like the hair standing up like on the back of my neck, but it feels different. And that just came with time, I guess.
Oh, I used to be scared of demons, so I would get a flight or fright feeling towards it.
Yeah.
But I don't do that anymore. I'm talking to Richard about it. Because I'm like, I don't think that happens anymore. Like, the first time I went to the Conjuring house, I, like, felt like someone was watching me, and I felt like there was, like hair standing on edge on my back. And it was, like, a feeling that I've never experienced before in my life. It wasn't, like, chill. It was, like, I was being hunted by something, and my, like, animalistic, instinctual whatever in my body was gonna make me like poofy if I had hair to make myself bigger, but I like did not understand why or what was going on. My brain was just like, I am being hunted by something. But now, because I feel like I'm not at the level anymore of where those things would impact me, so it doesn't happen anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like the last, like when we were at when we were at the Shanley and we were talking to the priest, he gave that kind of like, every time he would come around, that feeling would happen to me. And it's not, he wasn't necessarily like, he's not actually a demon or anything demonic.
Yeah, we figured
but
that out.
I over time, I kind of figured out that is my way of being like, this person, entity, whatever, is not like trustworthy, and that I need to be like more cautious when interacting with them.
Yeah, because it could be a sign or symbol that's how it works for you. It can also be a fear trigger or association to something that you're scared of, or something that you deem is like more powerful than you, have bad intentions that you can't deal with. Because it's like, I don't know, it's the difference between, sorry, I'm trying to think about like predator prey type situations. It's like a mouse being like preyed upon by like a tiger versus like, I don't know, a tiger trying to prey upon an elephant. The elephant's gonna be like, I'm just gonna fucking kick you in the head. What are you doing? They're not gonna have the same, I need to get the fuck out of here vibe.
Yeah, I notice things when they're around, but don't notice that I notice it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, mediumship is, I don't know, mediumship is very weird, because for me, what's up, Art James? I've had like experiences and like weird things my entire life, but I never associated that to mediumship until I kind of learned more about mediumship, and it was like, oh, like this is like, I've been doing this kind of passively without knowing it. But then once I like was like, okay, I'm gonna like focus on actually doing it and learning it, my ego got in the way, and I then had like an idea of what it was supposed to look like. So then it like kind of I got in my head, so I had to kind of unlearn how to do all of that again.
Yeah.
I have to bounce. Happy I caught a stream. I miss it. Everyone have a fun hangout. Bye, Gabby. Thanks for stopping by. Preach.
Of course, after I ask that question, I feel someone standing behind me. Doesn't help that I have my back to the room. Sorry, reading is hard for me.
Dyslexic.
Dyslexia. Yeah, dude. I think it would be fun to do a podcast about like misconceptions of mediums, because there's a lot of like, I don't know, this is probably gonna call all of the people, so I'm gonna do it anyways. A lot of debunkers, I feel like, they don't have the full picture of what mediumship is, so it is confusing to me that they are trying to like disprove that it is real, or trying to even test for it, but they don't fully understand the idea of mediumship in order to be able to like fully debunk it, or fully go into like the reasonings of why things can be accurate or inaccurate or stuff like that. Because like people want to try to test mediums by being like, okay, let me explain how your mediumship works, and maybe someone like sees spirits. Maybe they can't talk to them, that's all they can do, they can just see them. So to certain people, they might be like, okay, if you can see them, then I should be able to put like something in this envelope and put it in the other room. And then you can have a spirit go in there and look at whatever I put in there.
And they
like
can
maybe
hold
it's
up,
a number.
Yeah, like how many fingers.
And then you can tell me what number fingers that they're holding up. That to me shows that you do not understand what mediumship is, because it is not as cut and dry as that. You can't test that type of information because it is too variable. It is going through multiple filters, like we were talking about before.
Because like if we asked Richard that, he would just do this to us.
Yeah, it's going through the filter of the spirit itself. So the spirit might not want to give you the information because they don't want to be your dancing monkey. You are also going through the person receiving the information. So I don't know about you, but for me, the more I succeed on something, even if I'm doing fucking math problems, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much pressure. Oh my God, there's so much pressure. And then I fuck up because I'm like, why am I doing so well? I shouldn't be doing so well. I didn't study very well for this test. Like, I shouldn't be doing that well. So then you fuck up, and that's your interpretation and your ego. You can't test something that is so variable. So we've been going into a lot more like researchy type topics that go into mediumship and how things can be possible. Like we've been looking into like anthropology. We've been looking into people that study like out-of-body experiences from a neurology standpoint. So it's like, wouldn't it be cooler to try to test someone for mediumship by like having them quote unquote channel or do whatever they do, and then look at the physiological indicators that of what's happening? Like Bashar, I think you guys could see him on like TikTok or whatever. People have like done, I think it's like brain scans or something while he is channeling, and there's like certain parts of his brain that light up that don't normally light up when he's just talking. How is he doing that if nothing is going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of reading about astral projection and like different like types of consciousness, trance journeys, things like that, for a deep dive, and they touch points on mediumship a lot. But the first book I read was talked kind of about the history, and it was specifically about astral projection. And I feel like when you talk about the like research about astral projection, everyone like talks about the like CIA experiments and things and like that research, but there have actually been a lot of studies throughout history of like doctors, anesthesiologists, people who have been trying to explore trance journeys, astral projection, and it is actually very intriguing how they talk about it. So they talked about case studies, things like that, and then they went into a lot of the science, the neurology, just all of it, even like quantum physics and like kind of, and it's not a like definitive like this is what it is, but it's exploring the actual like science and history of it. And then I started reading a new book about like trance journeys and out-of-body experiences from an anthropologist who was around back in the day, who she noticed when she like in the 60s or something, when she was researching like Pentecostal religion. She was looking at what religious trances looked like, and she noticed that all of these different groups all over the country who hadn't experienced the same thing, when they were experiencing a religious trance, the way that they were speaking changed, and all of them followed this like rhythmic vibe and matched the same frequency and tone. And so she started looking, she's like, okay, I'm going to start looking out of the United States. And she went to Mexico, was finding this similar thing. And then other anthropologists who were studying similar things sent their data and information, and she found like a link between it. So in anthropology, and she's also like a linguistics like person. She's like she has a doctor. It's Felicitas Goodman. So it's very interesting also looking at like the anthropology of it, the cultural aspect, because like talking to spirit, have like belief in another side, out of body experiences. It's been kind of co-opted and kind of whitewashed and changed where it is now modern, like in modern day times. But if you actually like look back, there's so many ancient cultures, religions who have the same, they maybe describe it in different ways or have different, like slightly different views, but they really describe a lot of the same experiences and same things and talk about it in a very similar way. So I also think that, and anthropology is a science technically, but I think that the paranormal is looking for like hard science proof of things, and as a whole, we're kind of not looking at like the whole picture. We're not taking into account history, cultural differences.
About it.
Yeah.
There are.
And so we've been collecting a lot of books and papers and research, and after we finish doing the astral projection one, we want to actually go into digging into like the science of mediumship. I think that's going to be the second deep dive we do, because I'm already kind of getting information and things about that. because in the first book I mentioned, there's like when they're talking about like Einstein's theory and like all sorts of kind of like things from that era of science. They touch on like the Akashic records and where the Akashic records scientifically could potentially exist. Obviously, like it's hard because it's intangible. Like I don't want to like derail and talk about all of this because I feel like I'm nerding out, but like there's like I'm gonna do it anyways. Fuck it. We know that there's like everything is made of atoms and particles and things, and there really is no like nothingness. Even though like, and even when you can't see it, like you can't see the air molecules in front of you, but we know that it exists, right? It's been believed that there isn't like actual empty space, but they have found and been studying the distance in between like the tiny molecules. There is a certain amount of space where nothing can exist because it is too tiny, too small. And and that exists in everything around us. That exists in this water bottle, this microphone, me, all of us. And it's one of the things that connects us between everything. So they theorize that kind of like quantum level of things, like that could be how mediumship works. That could be how you can pull information from something like a lamp, because it's made of matter atoms. It's going to have that same thing that's in our head. Maybe that is where the Akashic record is. Maybe that is how you can access past lives, mediumship, spirit, the other side, all of that.
Yep. Like a coding that goes like beyond the like physical layer of things.
So it's been really interesting like digging into it, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it's like an absolute, but it's not. It's things that I haven't been seeing people talk about in spirituality and mediumship or the paranormal. So
people think that scientists don't have any interest in the paranormal, and I don't think that's true.
Yeah,
they're just not looking in the right places. There are studies that talk about and research consciousness. Yeah.
So for the like astral projection deep dive, through like the books, I've found a neurologist who's like practicing. He's been studying this for years, but he's like has specifically studies like consciousness, brain death, out of body experiences, things like that. So I want to reach out to him and see if he would be willing to have us interview him and ask him questions about astral projection as a neurologist and someone who understands consciousness on a different level than we do, and see how it is and like see what that is. So that's kind of my like, that's when in between things, since we've been kind of struggling and sick, I've just been reading a lot. So
it's cool to see, and a lot of people have these just like misconceptions about mediumship, and the people that are trying to prove that it exists in the paranormal are trying to prove that it doesn't exist, and I feel like their biases are impacting the experiments that they're doing as well, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, and honestly, truly, my favorite part about reading, especially like the first book that I fully like read, is the author Anthony Peake. He does point out the flaws in things, how maybe something isn't perfect, why there's inconsistencies, and he calls out his like all of that stuff. Because I was like, obviously we are going in with the bias of like, we think astral projection exists, but if I honestly was expecting to like read things and find out that like it's not real at all. It's just lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Because lucid dreaming has actually been like proven to be a thing. People do lucid dream.
Yeah.
So it's, and in that book they talk obviously like when we do the actual deep dive, you'll get like more of the full information, because it'll be like a full like breakdown and like explanation of things better than just a random like rant during a live stream. But people who have experienced lucid dreaming and experience what they perceive as astral projection, they describe it in very different ways, and different feelings. And I don't know, it's been very interesting to like read about.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna pin Chris.
If you guys have questions, put them in a chat.
Do you ever feel psychic vibes? I think they could absolutely do MRI when you're practicing mediumship.
Like in a clairsentient way?
Yeah, I was like, I guess what do you
There's a lot of different ways
mean
that
by
we can do
psychic
that.
vibes?
Because like there are times where we like literally feel like people's past lives and stuff like that. Like you could feel like being like ripped in half, being dragged by a horse, being trampled by a horse, and it will feel like it actually is happening to you. So I'm like, I wonder if there's a test for that to see if your body is like experiencing pain or something.
Yeah, I do know in the astral projection stuff that I was talking about in some of the studies at like I think it was like Harvard or Stanford or something. I think it was Stanford. And like big institutions, they were monitoring people's like brain waves and what was happening to them when they were experiencing like an out of body experience to see. And they noticed that the pineal gland becomes more active, which Helena Blavatsky, who's kind of like the person who like
The leaders of the
spiritual like movement, that is what the kind of third eye became like co-opted to be. And like opening your third eye, that is your pineal gland. So it's, yeah.
somewhere in there. Bye, Micah.
Bye, Micah. Thanks for stopping by. Preach. And then, yeah, what do you think about lucid dreaming? I think it's real. Like there is actual scientific proof of lucid dreaming.
Yeah, and lucid dreaming is when you become like conscious in your dream that it is a dream and you have the ability to walk around and manipulate it as such. This just like opens up a huge can of worms of like the levels of consciousness and things like that, because you can also, there's lucid dreaming, there is like astral projection, there's also shamanic journeys, and they're all different levels of consciousness of where your like consciousness is. They want me to say like the awareness of your consciousness. So there are certain people that cannot astral project, cannot lucid dream.
Actually, there is, from what I was reading, because that book goes into lucid dreaming, anyone can, like everyone has the capability of lucid dreaming. They can learn how to. You can learn how to lucid dream. Astral projection is
makes sense.
A little bit, because
you have to have
different.
the awareness.
Yeah. Because with lucid dreaming, you become conscious in your own subconscious in your dream, so you're aware of it being a dream. Everyone has that capability, but astral projection is more of like an out of body experience where like your soul is like leaving your body and going outside of it, not just inwards. But there's also like debate about that. Sorry, I know like I've been learning too much about this. This has been my hyperfixation. So I'm
for
like
a few months.
I know things.
Yeah, the way that I see it is it's like just like levels of consciousness or perception that are changed by like the frequency. So it's kind of like if you are standing here and there's a tiny little light around you, that's where you start.
Move your hand because you're blocking the mic.
Oh, there's a tiny little light around it, and the further you can do, like the more like levels of consciousness you can go. Like if you want to do like astral projection and go to like the in between or fucking somewhere, you have to have more light going around you. You have to have more able to like change your energy or change your frequency. You have to have more of the awareness of your soul. So that goes into a lot of egotistical things. That goes into a lot of like, I can't leave my body. I feel gross doing that. That's impossible. You have to get over a lot of that sort of stuff in an unconscious level.
Yeah. And then Brendan, dumb question. It's not a dumb question for one, so don't say that. Does spirit readings change based on what was done to the spirit after death? Like, does a cremated spirit differ from a buried spirit? No. I don't believe so.
In what way?
I think like
mean?
if like you're cremated versus like buried.
Does it do anything to like the person you're talking to?
Yeah. My grandmother that recently passed was cremated, and I don't think that it changes, because that is affecting the physical body versus like spirit.
It could affect if the person has certain cultural beliefs, because they're talking to me about different ideologies in Japanese culture. So there's a lot of like different religious, like ritualistic things that people in Japanese culture will do to help a soul transition. So if the soul like thinks that has to happen, they may be caught in a like kind of limbo type space, and they might have perceptions in regards to those cultural beliefs. So it could be something like that, but I don't see just like cremation versus burying a spirit. It's very much just based upon what the person thought about it in life.
Which another book that we have kind of talks about all of that. I haven't fully gone into it because it's called Understanding Death, and it kind of breaks down, it kind of defines a soul, what death actually is, because there's a lot of debate about like what brain death is, when is someone actually considered dead. So I haven't fully read it because I was only kind of looking at the initial like soul aspect that would tie to astral projection. But they talk about like different cultures throughout history's belief of what like happens to them after death based on their cultural experiences and stuff like that. It's very interesting.
Brendan, are you afraid of fire? Do you have like weird worries that your house is gonna burn down or something?
Yeah, because he said, I have a completely unsupported weird belief that cremation burns the spirit, which is why I want to be buried when I die.
The reason why I'm asking is I feel like you have a past life about that. But I don't think you like burned or anything. I see you as a man. You're in a period of time where the buildings are like made out of wood, and they're very, very like simplistic. You're like on a farm and the village is on fire. No, I actually love fire. I find it beautiful. You didn't burn in that life. I always wonder how it like affects people now.
I'm terrified of fire.
I feel like you watched a lot of other people burn. I don't think you died in the fire. I think you were trying to save other people from the fire. You're in a different country, not the U.S. You're speaking a different language, and you have dark hair and a mustache. You're welcome. That's all.
That's all. I like that. I'm like, we're not going to do readings. And then M's like,
yeah, I'm like, well, why do you think that you're like gonna burn your soul if you get cremated? And they were like, here's a past life. And I'm like, oh, it's too much information. I need to tell you the information because it's too much. You're welcome. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. You're welcome.
And then Becky, can you tell if intrusive thoughts are coming from a shadow self or an outside source? Personally, my belief is those types of, because I know people are like, oh, if you have like an attachment or there's a demon trying to possess you, that they're gonna like make you want to harm yourself or like do like something horrible. To me personally, those intrusive thoughts are a human thing, not necessarily a spirit thing. So if I've ever been like, there's only really been like 2 times that I felt like a negative entity was affecting me in a negative way, but they weren't putting those thoughts in my head. They were like pulling out those like intrusive thoughts that already existed inside me. So personally, I think that they're pulling out your insecurities and your fears or your kind of what's already in you, and they might make it worse, but I don't think that they are like, if you've like never experienced depression, never like been like suicidal or had any like dark thoughts like that, I don't feel like they would put that in, like, I don't feel like they would put that into you because you've never experienced those feelings. So
yeah, with intrusive thoughts, I understand that you mean like sometimes you get like these weird thoughts that you don't know where they come from, but you can also use the word intrusive thoughts in a like medical sense of like you have OCD and you're having like really horrible thoughts of like falling down the stairs and like having this horrible accident. There's a difference in feelings of when it is coming from outside of your own insecurities and mental health.
yeah. Because like for me, the stairs thing, that's me.
Same.
Every time I walk down these stairs,
Like I'm gonna forget how to walk.
yeah, I am always like, I always like have an intrusive thought that I'm going to like fall down the stairs and hit my head on the bottom on like the rock floor and like die horrifically. That has to do with like OCD things and my mental health versus like anything else. So personally, I think that, and I know I keep talking about therapy, but it's because I think that if you struggle with those things, the best thing you can do to help yourself differentiate is to like work through those things with a therapist and those thoughts so you can understand them, see what they are, like all of that. Because like everyone experiences intrusive thoughts at times. Like that is, it is a very common experience for people, but the extent that you're having them, how long you ruminate on them, what it is, that can be a different mental health thing rather than like a spiritual or paranormal. So I'm like a big, if you're like worried about that, you should talk to a therapist first and talk about those things because,
yeah,
you know, like I don't think that me being afraid of falling down the stairs is like, and it happens even at like ghost hunting locations, but I don't think that like there's a spirit that is going to like push me down the stairs. That's just my own intrusive like thought about things.
Richard wants to say if you have a repetitive intrusive thought that like spirals, that is not coming from an outside.
Yeah, that's coming from you.
That is mental health. Because I'm like talking to him about it. I'm like, but I talked to you about like shadow self type things, and he's like, yeah, and when I give you the answers to things, you stop worrying about it. Weird.
Hi, side-eye guy. What's up?
Also, I'm sorry, I need to ask Brendan weird questions because I just like, you're talking about weird things that are happening in your life about your past life things, and I just need to know how what I see potentially affects you. Are you like, I don't know if this is a weird question. Do you experience like weird death things around you? Like, are people in your life, do you like know when they're gonna die or like see them die, or like do you have any like weird trauma like that? I don't know if that's a weird question.
He said we can DM. I feel like the closest thing would be Call of the Void. Yeah, I mean, I still think that if you are like interested in getting into spirituality or mediumship and want to learn about all of that, I think it is so important that you also are working with a therapist in tandem, because it is like there are things that may just be mental health, and it's not going to just be a spiritual thing. Because the times that I've been like affected in a negative, like I've felt like I've been affected by something, though I already was experiencing those things, and then like whatever I felt like it was just, I don't know, pulling out like my own like dark thoughts. I also don't think that like, I don't know. I have a lot of like opinions about, see you, Brie, have a good one, about how people talk about like attachments and like they're gonna like possess you, ruin your life. Because
what are they supposed to do?
My thought is like, if that is the case, why aren't we why aren't we seeing more people like genuinely talk about these like
And
about what happened to them?
Just watched a video of this person being like, if there's a real demon at these locations, wouldn't like horrific things be happening? Like, wouldn't it be a lot worse than them saying demon on a phone app? Wouldn't they be like throwing people across the room? And I'm like, I talked to a demon and they told me that I had trauma. Like, they aren't like gonna like flip your house upside down.
Yeah, I think the word demon has been like used to just explain anything that makes people feel uncomfortable. I don't think that 99% of what like is at ghost hunting locations or people are experiencing are like demonic negative things that are trying to like kill you or ruin your life. I truly don't believe that. Because, and maybe this is, you know, like biased or condescending of me, but like we use Ouija boards all the fucking time. We like do mediumship where we talk to like dark things
that we have attachments
and like
ruining our lives.
And like the bad things that are happening in our life have nothing to do with that. Like literally nothing.
We like to talk about how people, like humans or human souls, are a lot scarier than a demon. Because when you have a demon or a dark entity come in on your like devices, they're gonna be like, blood everywhere, your car's on fire. A human being is gonna be like, I eat little toddlers for breakfast and you are next.
And even still, it's like, okay, and I don't know. I have like, I don't know. I have like opinions because it goes into the whole like fear mongering aspect of like the paranormal. And I know that's kind of even spiritual because there's a lot of like woo woo type people. And I know there's probably people who think we're woo woo, but woo woo type people who are like, if you have any like dark or negative thought, you're just going to be attracting like horrible things. And I'm like, or you just go to a therapist for one. Like,
yeah, you don't have to be like happy all the time to manifest success. But we just filmed a podcast about love and light bullshit.
Pretty much it's just us like talking shit about what we don't like about like the spiritual type things of like star seeds, like
toxic positivity in the spiritual world, because everyone's like, you're not going to be able to be successful or get anything you want if you have a shit attitude. And it's like, no, it's actually based on your belief systems. You can have emotions about your belief systems.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there would be people who would probably look at like me going to the ER Monday and then being like, oh my gosh, it's a stroke. There would probably be people who'd be like, oh, that happened because like you guys have been like playing, like you're not closing the Ouija boards and all this stuff. And it's like, no, I just have like chronic physical ailments. Like
and we're under a lot of stress, so it is aggravated.
It's aggravating that, but it's not paranormal what's happening to me at all. So, and we talked about that a lot in our like therapy podcast. It's Satan. Yeah, you know, it's totally Satan. I don't know. There's like, I don't like the whole like everything is a demon.
Jada's? Before we lose it, how do dark entities affect a person?
Oh yeah. But yeah, I don't know. My whole thought about everything in general is if you feel like something is affecting you physically or mentally, before you like jump to thinking that it's a demon or some like you have some attachment, you should like see a medical professional and like talk about those things, tell them what's going on, and you can integrate spirituality into that as well. Like my therapist knows what we do for work. We've talked about like my mediumship and those things, but like I don't know. you want me to find? Are you looking for the
think
podcast?
It's in. Well, no, I was gonna say we have therapy resources. They're not in the. I have to update this.
Oh, I can go grab them if you want while I'm.
Yeah.
Because I'm here.
It should be on Haunted Smoke and Mirrors.
Yeah.
We have therapy resources if you're looking or interested into therapy. I want to put it in the description, but I keep forgetting to put it in this one. I've been doing it for Smoke and Mirrors. Forgot to do it here.
Believe it or not, I'm hardly a ray of sunshine when I chat with demons. I go into it as me. I was a cranky old guy before doing all this. I mean, honestly, we go in and we like, if something's like, oh, it's a demon, we're like, okay.
I go to.
Yeah, we like kind of go in and
Like, okay.
Okay, do
scratch
things.
me then. I'll watch.
Yeah, like, okay, oh, like, there's a demon here that says you're gonna scratch me. Okay, fucking prove it.
Like, I'm only gonna believe it if it happens in front of my face. So.
Yeah, because I don't think that it's an actual like. I don't know. I don't think most things are actual like demons in the way that people like claim that they are. Of like, this is like this horrible entity that's gonna kill you.
They're gonna convince you to jump off the roof.
That is the therapy resources. Yeah. So we have hotlines, warm lines, finding a therapist. We got help from Kayla, who is also a counselor. So if you are like struggling and need different, like need support, we have resources available.
Yeah, we're gonna start adding it to the descriptions of things on this channel and all of our other channels so that you guys have access to it wherever it's easy to find.
And if you want to, if you haven't watched the podcast we're referring to, this is the therapy podcast where we talk about therapy with our friend Kayla, who is she's a licensed counselor. She works with like kids, she does things, and she's also spiritual. So we talk about finding the balance between like spirituality and like proper mental health things, because there are going to be a lot of things that it's not going to be special. It is just going to be mental health.
I have a therapist that's a medium, and it helps so much. What is that like? Does she like medium you?
Like
look at you and are like, so what's going on with this boy?
I've also never understood, for people who believe in the supernatural, what people claim as a demon isn't just a moody ghost. How do people really tell the difference?
Exactly.
No, that is our biggest complaint too. Cause like, at like Madison Seminary, there's a like, they call him a surgeon who's like upstairs, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's this horrible person. Us as mediums, we're like, he's just like, he's just angry.
Horrible person because he does
experiments.
But like, that was medicine back then.
Yeah, and I was like, no, he's just upset because you guys are talking shit about him.
But if you do like basic research on like demons or whatever, people always have a hard time defining what that actually is. Some people think a demon is anything that's darker, lower level, but there are people that are like,
there's a lot of cultural differences. Because like going back to like some of the research things that I've done, I want to say it's Socrates. I don't know. There's some.
I think it's
Socrates, one of the like very well known like Greek. I think it's Socrates. Like Greek philosophers from ancient Greece.
Yes.
He said that he like worked with a daemon, and he was like, it wasn't a negative thing. It wasn't trying to derail my life, destroy me. It literally was just like helping me do things.
You walk a path.
Because a lot of the like stigma around like demons and the demonizing of things is like a very like Christianized Western idea of it, and it's become like such a fear of like like you said, there are cultures where like everything is a demon. There's cultures where they think like when you die, like you're not able to even communicate, like there's no communication after death. Like
people think that we can't talk to like people because they're in heaven, that we are only talking to demons.
Yeah, so it's like there's going to be like cultural differences between things, and I don't think that'll like
totally demon I trust is Master Chef from Halo. Chief
dyslexic
chef.
I get called a demon often. I call Emma demon. honestly, any time someone is like, I think you guys have a dark attachment. I'm like, it's her. She's my dark attachment.
Can't get rid of me. Make you leave the room, I'm gonna follow you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's so much like weird stuff about like the whole demon thing. Even like skinwalkers is like, skinwalker is becoming kind of the new demon in the paranormal.
Yeah, but nobody actually knows what it is, because why would like a native person talk to anyone about it if they're like, if you talk about it, then it happens? So like, yeah, we have like maybe an idea of what it could be, but I don't think it's that. Why would they tell you it?
I think the thing that gets me is people act like demons are literally more powerful than gods, and that never made sense to me. We do a lot of somatic release and then work on my mediumship together. It's awesome. That honestly sounds cool as shit.
No, that does. I need to find a medium therapist.
My therapist isn't a medium, but she's neurodivergent and intuitive. She's a fucking great medium. Or not medium, therapist.
Medium.
I love my therapist. And honestly, like, I don't know. What has worked with me is working with a therapist to like find ways to integrate spirituality into like my like mental health or healing or whatever, and do like, I don't know, like integrate it in a positive way while maintaining a healthy balance for myself, because like I'm autistic, I'm ADHD, I've just been recently diagnosed with OCD, so there's like things that will never be spiritual that are just my mental health.
Yeah, and Jada's question, how do dark entities affect a person? I'm not fully sure, because obviously there is like things that people say that you get like thrown out of like your bed. Like we've had someone say that they got like pulled like from their leg out of bed, but I'm like, that's never happened to me. So I'm not sure if that type of thing happens. But when we work with like daemon type things, they are mostly like, you know, this thing that you've been ignoring for a while, maybe you should stop. So they keep triggering that thing happening over and over again until you're ready to deal with it. So I don't know. And if someone else has like some crazy story, please tell me. I would love to hear it.
Because I know people say that they get scratched and like physically affected in ways. And like, I don't know. I have weird thoughts about it, because like my like mediumship is like very clairsentient, so I feel a lot of things. So me like physically like picking up on information or feeling anything or something, like people might technically claim that is like something dark physically affecting me, but also like I'm fine. Nothing is wrong. I personally think that because I know people talk a lot about like mental health, or also like, well, they want you to be depressed so they can keep like feeding on your energy. Yeah. But I personally don't think that. As of right now, my personal understanding is the way that they would affect you mentally is just by pulling out the like feelings that are already in you that you are probably ignoring.
It helps create balance. It gives them balance and it gives you balance. That's why it happens. It's an exchange of energy.
Yeah. And because everyone talks about like, we have a podcast idea where we want to do like, we sold our souls to angels.
Yes. Because people love to talk about how demons just want to take all of your energy.
Because Sida Guy is like, if demons are everywhere causing havoc on humans, why are the angels not messing them up and protecting us? And I agree with you because it doesn't.
It's fear mongering.
Yeah, it's fear mongery, and I feel like that is why. I don't know. I also feel like this is kind of like a spicy topic, but I feel like it also goes into the like commercialization of spirituality, because if you're like terrified of demons, like someone can be like, well, if you buy this specific thing, it will like help you connect with the angels better, vibration. Or you need like the statue of Archangel Michael and you need to wear a pendant of the Solomon seal, and like the truth of the matter is you don't need fucking any of that shit to like at all. Like, and I know people might think it's hypocritical because we like sell crystals, but we are like, you don't have to buy any, like, you don't have to own any crystals. You don't have to do literally anything fucking fancy if you want to get into spirituality.
Yeah.
Like, we personally think that like there are like metaphysical properties to crystals, but I don't think that just carrying around like a thing of amethyst, like it might make you feel better, kind of like a placebo effect of things, and that's okay if that brings you comfort, but it's not going to like cure your, it's not going to cure and heal you. Like if you struggle with anxiety, like it might be a little reassuring that you're like managing it to carry amethyst with you, but like the amethyst isn't going to just like get rid of your anxiety or stress altogether. Like sometimes you might need medication to help with that. You should go to therapy to help with it too. Like, so I just know that there's people who like have opinions about us like having an Etsy shop and like selling the candles, but it's for people who like want to do, like who are interested in it, but it is like you don't need any of it, quite honestly. We just like making candles.
Theoretically, angels would be more respectful of free will.
I honestly think that like daemons are,
they have to be. There's like rules. They can't ruin your free will. And I feel like each level of being has to have a different set of rules in order to not like impact us in a way that it takes that away. Because a lot of people are like, everything is set in stone. That's not true. I don't believe that. That's why we keep talking about having free will. You have the ability to choose what you want to do.
But yeah, I feel like people talk about demons and dark things everywhere, so they can like try to like force you to be like, you need to be positive, or you need to do like X, Y, and Z to raise your vibration, which we like talked about in like the podcast that we just recorded of like the whole like raising your vibration, entering the 5D is like fucking bullshit. What I'm getting at is demons shouldn't be as common as they are in the first place, because angels should be battling them and casting them back to hell, but I never hear a thing about angels. Yeah. I hear a lot about angels from like spirituality. I feel like when like where spirituality intersects with like the paranormal, it's more focused on just the demons. But if you like swing into like the woo shit, it is like exclusively like angels, saints, like gods, like
our channel
light beings, things like that.
Overlays into 3 different niches, and that's the mediumship niche that goes into all of them, which is why we are able to be in these niches. We're in the witchcraft niche, we're in the spirituality niche, and we're in the paranormal niche. The paranormal niche is the biggest because that is the thing that pulls the most people. It relates to the most people. And then you get more finite in the other niches. So that's why a lot of the people in the paranormal don't hear more of the like spiritual ideas about mediumship, because a lot of people are like, you can't see things through a video. If you go into the mediumship niche, that's a normal thing. That's a normal concept. But if you go into the paranormal niche, they're like, that's impossible. You have to be there. And I'm like, says who? I'm talking to a non-physical being, and you think that I have to physically be in the room with them? That seems kind of confusing to me.
Yeah, which that kind of goes into, again, the science things of that I've been kind of researching out here. It's like angels just discovered Netflix and are glued to their TVs while the demons are in all these haunted locations. Steve's tiny house of the dead has 5 demons, according to him. Yeah, I think that it's a big issue in the paranormal. And yeah, I don't know. There's so much like fear mongering just about demons, skinwalkers, dark entities, attachments, trickster.
Yeah, and because our idea of demons are very much like there are darker, lower level entities. These things people usually refer to as attachments because they will show up around your life because they are associated to your energy. So if you are depressed, dealing with hard things in your life, this entity attachment comes into your life to help you deal with those things. Because a lot of times you don't want to because it's uncomfortable. So this thing triggers you until you do it. Once you deal with those things, therapy, then it goes away. Those are like the lower level dark entities. But there's also like these higher level beings that us as human beings have like described as like daemons, which is like fallen angels. And there's different ideas about what makes them fallen. So a lot of people take the like dark associations to what they are associated to, and being these are dark entities because they deal with things that are in human world negative. So like Asmodeus deals with like lust. He's the daemon of lust, and people think that he can only do negative things and cause like people to be assaulted in that way. However, he's also going to go in and help people that have been assaulted and help them reclaim their autonomy again. Because that is what he's specialized in.
But also a lot of like, even like just the concept of like angel and demons in the way that we're talking about still stems like culturally from like a very like Christianized worldview of things, because there are other cultures who don't believe in angels at all. So it's like, I don't know, it's a very like weird thing, because mine and M's like opinion about like deities, all of this is, it is just different like human and cultural interpretations of the energy and things that people are feeling. That's why like ancient cultures like Greece, I don't know, like ancient China, like there's typically like a death deity in like most cultures, and especially like ancient cultures, and there's similarities between them, but there's differences. But also like the mythology and stories associated to them is like made up human things to explain their experiences. It's not like a law. It's not like 100% like, it's an interpretation. This is what happened. It's their interpretation of explaining the like energy and what was happening and their experiences. And that's why there's like deities associated to death, to like the sun, like the amount of different cultures that depict a like god of the sun as someone who is like physically pulling the sun across the sky. Obviously, we know like scientifically that like the sun is a star in space and we are orbiting the sun. But there's still like belief about all of it. So to me, it's a lot more nuanced of like a discussion, because there's so many different religions. But also I'm just like, this has been what I've been kind of digging into a lot lately, because
even those interpretations can be tied back to mediumship as well. That's why when you're trying to test if mediumship is an actual like thing, you can't test the information. It is like trying to test like a game of telephone on the accuracy of the information. It is literally story being passed down by story passed down by story, going through the filter of a human ego. Obviously, it's not going to be as accurate as the first time you heard it. That's what it's like.
And it, I don't know, the like, what? This keeps happening.
I stopped talking. You're like, where am I?
Oh, okay. And because there's been so much like whitewashing and commercialized like aspects of these things, it's in my opinion, it's tainted like the actual like niche of things, which is part of why I like, we're very like understanding of criticism of mediums or beliefs and things, because it's such a like nuanced and cultural thing, and people are going to have so many differences. And if you're just looking at the like spiritual gurus that are like woo woo, like, oh, you're like, you need to raise your vibration, open your third eye, you need to like shove a jade egg up your cooch to like ascend, like they are like co-opting so many things, like even like the whole chakras and like mantras and all of that. Like they're taking like Eastern Asian cultures that aren't theirs, and it's been whitewashed, altered, and like has been like commercialized. So that like, I hate going into metaphysical stores because so many of them have just like Eastern Asian cultures. And it's like, you guys know nothing about this stuff at all. You're just like peddling it to people because you've convinced them that they need like certain like things to like feel connected. And it's like the commercialization of things like in that way makes things, I don't know. It like that is where I agree with like, especially a lot of debunkers about like the exploiting people's beliefs. But I think it's a more like broad, nuanced topic than just spear. Jade goes where?
Well, you don't know anything about that? I'm not going to get into that.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah. That's more of that spiritual niche.
It comes out after
it goes where?
So you then have to lay an egg. No, but like there's, I don't know. That is why even when we talk about things, like there's so many locations that we go to that love to talk about like, this is Native American land. And like, okay, why are you like why does that have to be the focus of things? Because we've had people ask like, oh, like with like the Conjuring house, for instance, it's like, oh, there's like natives all around it. Like Em and I try not to like do anything really associated to that because one, it's not our culture. And that it is like a sacred thing, and we're not experts on that, which is
really
even
stereotypical. It's like stereotypical medium things of being like, it's haunted because it's on a burial ground. I'm like, yeah, but the U.S. has had people on here for so long. There's probably so many people that died in this one spot that this building is in. So like, it's not really that deep. And like really. Every place is going to be haunted because every single place has had people go through it. People died. Like the certain locations is like the commercialized aspect of it. And I think that it's good to like preserve places of history. I hate when American locations say this. No, exactly. Which is why like, I know in the like one video we like, there was like a miscommunication between Em and I, and it came out completely wrong because like we agree. But it's the same as when we're doing like deity identifications and talking about it. We don't like, we're not going to identify a like closed hoodoo practice or voodoo or a closed practice like god or deity because we are not a part of that closed practice. And culture specifically ask not for people that are outsiders of that culture to delve into it. And
like, I think that is, I think a lot of that goes into the ethics of mediumship as well. Because I don't know, I was looking at like some comments on a video recently talking about like mediumship and things. And there are people who are like, a real medium like wouldn't post things online, or they wouldn't like, they would only like give information to people who like, if spirit is like telling them that they have to go tell someone across the room that they don't know about the information. And I'm like, I think that's not okay. I am a medium. And if like someone random walked up to me and was like, excuse me, did you know that your grandmother has things to say to you? I'd be like, hey,
please don't talk to me.
I don't know you. Please don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you about this. Like,
I haven't dealt with all of the grieving of this, and I don't need you to randomly decide to do it for me.
Yeah. Do you guys watch that awesome LPOTL stream? What is that?
I don't know. I saw you in the beginning, though.
Yeah, I saw you in the beginning of the thing, but
yeah, I don't know what
people do that. My social anxiety could never. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of ethical issues in the mediumship, and Em and I have talked about it last podcast on the left.
That's the like short version.
Oh yeah.
Acronym for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever watched that.
Yeah. I think that there are a lot of like ethical issues with mediums, which is also why Em and I try to make it clear that we understand the like distrust of mediums, because
we talked about that in the therapy podcast as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and because a lot of which is weird, a lot of like debunkers like are like, wow, you really take the like people calling you a fake and a scam very well. And I'm like, it comes with the territory. It's about like belief systems of people. So if you don't believe it, like, that's fine. I'm not here to do that. Like, I'm not interested in making you believe that I'm here. I am just existing to help the people that need it in the way that I can. Like,
I don't know. Like, before I chose to like get into mediumship, I was someone who was a little bit skeptical of mediums, because I had only seen like the Long Island medium and like the televised ones, and I was like, well, this is TV. And I know people will have the same like sense of that because like we're doing YouTube, which is again why I'm like, no, I understand, like, and I think that it is still healthy to be like skeptical or critical of mediums, because like there have been like people who have scammed and said things, and it might seem weird that we're like saying that, because I know there's people who think that we are doing those things, and like all I can say in response is like, we try very hard to be very like clear about our beliefs, what we do, and yes, while we do readings, we try to focus on things like spirit guides, other things like, and I don't know, like we've been trying to make it more clear like where we stand in things, because we like, I don't know, we've realized that we needed to improve on things. So like we made sure to create like a resource doc of like for like getting mental help, because if you are someone who just experienced loss or are struggling, like you should, I personally don't think you should go to a medium. I think you should go to a therapist, and you should like talk to some like a mental health professional. No medium who's offering a reading is going to be a mental health professional. So if you're like struggling with like dark thoughts and think it's a demon, you should go talk to a therapist first. And maybe later, if you want to talk to a medium about something, you know, that's up to you. But I don't know.
There's a lot of nuance that goes into like mediumship. So like, we don't think that we're fake. This is like what we are doing is a part of our set of beliefs. So we also believe that everyone can do it. It is just about learning how you can connect with spirit and how you can connect to like the rest of quote unquote collective energy. So like, do you need me to do it? No, you don't. But maybe talking to me or another medium might help validate things that are in your life. The reason why it can be weird and unethical is because these people are going through a lot of like grieving like emotions and things like that. And because mediums are not like licensed therapists, usually apparently, I think Anna or whatever has one, but that's a bit different. We don't know how to explain or cover topics of that nature to where they are not going to be triggering or damaging to the person that we are speaking to, which is why Riker is like, we generally talk about like
deities, spirit guides,
deities, that sort of thing. And we're more uncomfortable with talking about like your past relatives, because it's like, that is a very touchy subject that goes into a lot of like healing for grieving. And we don't know the best way or methods to relay that type of information to where it isn't damaging to you.
Yeah. And everyone grieves so differently. And I don't know, like when, like for me, when my grandma passed, like I asked M to talk to her for me, but I still focused primarily on going to therapy because that's what I needed. So I also think that it's a little, one thing that I personally don't agree with is the notion that like offering readings in general is like taking advantage of people, because people have like free will, and I think it very much depends on the person. of where they're at in their journey, what they want, like what they're looking for. Like sometimes they just need comfort. And I think that as a medium, especially if you are like offering, like a medium who's offering services and things, you need to be able to at least pick up on when like someone doesn't actually, like someone is like not okay, and send them to the right place. Great chat, but gotta head off. Cheerio. Hey, have a good night. Or I think it's a good day. I don't know what time it is for you because I'm really bad with time zones, but thanks for stopping by, my dude. Yeah, because like I don't know. There's so many like ethical things, like mediums who like I watched one of Beardo's videos recently, where he was covering someone who was doing tarot readings about like missing, like a like 15-year-old like missing kid or something. And I didn't fully agree with what he said about like the tarot, like reading the tarot itself, but I do agree with him that it's fucked up that this person is like making content and monetizing like things around
someone's life.
Yeah, around someone who's like missing, especially like a kid like that.
Without
and
consent.
Especially when like the kid's parents have like made a big deal to like ask people to stop doing that. Like that is a bad thing, because we've had people a lot like ask us about like mediumship questions about situations like that, and we refuse to talk about those because, one, we do not have the family's consent to talk about it. Two, I would, if my kid went missing and like mediums on the internet, even as a medium myself, if other mediums were like making content about it, I'd be like, dude, fuck you. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, you don't know that is still a real person. And so like, that is why like we don't try to touch the like true crime,
recent
like
crime things.
Yeah, if we go to a location and it's like, we suspect something like this happened back in the 1800s, we'll like talk about that. But if
that's about the history of a location.
Yeah,
it's not impacting someone who is like currently living's life.
Yeah, if a kid like went missing 3 months ago, like I'm not gonna do that, because mediums, especially because like you can get information wrong as a medium.
It's a game of telephone, my guy.
And there's more damage that you would do than good, in my opinion.
Yeah, if all the mediums are like, oh yeah, they're dead, they're gone, and they're not. They just like went to like run away. Okay, now what? They're not gonna go look for them because they're gone. Like, if you're wrong in any context, it is extremely damaging. And can you imagine like the person that the video's about, if they're not actually dead, and seeing people like talk about how they're dead?
Yeah.
What?
And yeah, Becky, I feel like the difference is trying to connect with spirits, guides, deities for curiosity over desperation. Yes.
Yeah,
and that
desperation is the key word.
Yes, and that is exactly it. That's why I was like, I'm going to pin this, because yes, that.
Yeah, a lot of mediums will have ethics of like, you cannot book a reading with me, and we cannot talk about spirits that have passed within so amount of time. Or there's mediums that will say things like, oh yeah, they just like, if they just passed, they'll be like, oh yeah, they're like busy doing things, like they can't talk, they can't come to the phone right now. We'll maybe discuss this like later on. And I feel like that is, if they believe spirit is doing that, I feel like spirit is telling them that, because I think time doesn't exist in the way that it does on the spirit realm side. But if that person is not ready to hear it, then they're busy going and doing things, because it is not going to be the right time or the right person to relay this information.
Yeah, I mean, even the like private reading that we did for the raffle that we talked about the grandpa, like before we got into it, like we asked questions about like are you in therapy, like have you, like how recent was this, like what is, like where are you at with this, so we can understand, like I don't know, like what like what you need
the situation
and understand
how
the situation
is going to impact you.
And people might try to interpret that as like, oh, so you can like know like how to like scam them properly. And it's like, no, I want to make sure that I don't re-trigger someone. Like this person is putting faith in me as like a medium and is like curious about the things, and they like, if they're like not okay and they're doing it more out of desperation, then I might try to redirect them to other resources and give them a refund and be like, hey, why don't we reschedule this in a year?
Let's circle back.
Let's circle back to this later
corporate language,
if you want
circle
to
back.
when like it hasn't been so recent, because there was one stream like forever ago where someone came in and was like, will you talk to my brother, he passed away last night? And I was like, no.
Yes, a lot of mediums have ethics of, I will not do readings for people that have passed within this amount of time. You need to sit with that, and you need to like grieve first, and then you can maybe come to me.
Yeah, and it also, for me, also comes back to like personal like interests. I am personally more interested about like learning things, exploring different topics or ideas. So talking to like deities or other beings for me is more interesting than just talking to past loved ones. And it's not that I don't do it, but I like to learn and expand my understanding of things versus like just focusing on the trauma. And I struggle when people want to like get like a lot of readings about like traumatic things, because it like mentally takes a lot out of me. So obviously there's probably a lot of mediums who would disagree with what we're saying about things, but that's just our personal.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I don't know. This has been a fun stream.
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about things that like all interesting for you.
Haunted Holly was like, my mom's dad may have not been my great granddad's DNA. We looked into a Bible since I inherited the house to see his birth and discovered there was probably an affair during like World War II.
Oh, damn.
That's wild.
I'm bad at thinking of questions on the spot.
No, you're fine.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been excited about like,
what is mediumship to you, right?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
What is mediumship to me? Mediumship.
Well, mediumship is when you are communicating with spirit. That is the difference. There is a difference between mediumship and psychic information. Because psychic information, you are just picking up what's going around in your surroundings. It is just, that's the difference. Mediumship is communication.
Do you believe telekinesis is impossible?
No. Dude, I've been talking to Jesus fucking Christ for a while. And he literally has been talking to me about manifestation, and he's like, if I was doing miracles, and even if it was like interpretations of what I was doing, the fact that you think that you can't manifest money is like astronomical. Because like, even if I wasn't like turning water into wine and people were just like saying those things, he made enough of an impact for us to start counting the years after he was born. Tell me that was a manifestation. Telekinesis is possible.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like go back and forth because I feel
like there's a limit.
And I feel like it's not like if it is possible, it's not like it's depicted in like movies and
Yeah.
things, I feel
Not
like
like
it.
you're gonna be an earthbender. Like,
So I'm like, I don't know. Do you ever see transparent things like beings or people? Yes. It's been like, I don't know. It depends.
dude, I do have a question because I have ADHD. Have you noticed a difference with talking to people that are physically there versus people that you're talking to like that aren't physically there? Maybe if I explain it of my experience, because like I've been noticing recently that when a spirit is like physically in my space, they feel or look different than how I would see them in my head if they were not in the space physically with me. So like, for example, like Rosaline is one of my spirit guides, and a lot of times I just talk to Rosaline in my head because she's my spirit guide, so like whatever. And she's like blonde. She has hair that like looks like mine, but I think it's a little bit lighter. And I talk to her, I know her vibe, I know her personality, but when I see her in person, I will look at Riker and be like, did you just see that like blonde woman like walk across our kitchen? And then I like sit there for a second, I was like, oh shit, that was Rosaline. Because it like feels different when you're actually seeing them. It's like the difference between talking to someone on like FaceTime versus like seeing them in person for the first time. Does that make sense?
It doesn't really feel different to me. I don't feel like.
Feels
Personally.
different to me.
Or
like Loki, I talked to Loki in my head for the longest time, and then seeing him in person, I like didn't recognize him for the first time because I was like not prepared. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like thinking about it because I'm like, also hi mom.
Because I didn't like think about it until Loki came forward and we were like, Rosaline did that. And it might be because I see them physically.
I mean, sometimes it might take me a second to like realize like maybe like who they are, but I don't feel like it like they communicate different or like how I get the information is different.
I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it other than like it's the difference between when I was only exclusively talking to you through like a video chat like FaceTime versus seeing you in person.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's like a difference with that. Because like if we're like physically in a location and spirit is talking to us, it's like different information than if we were like watching a video about it.
They like talk differently or they like look differently. It is just a different experience, and it's not something that I thought about because I thought it would be the same thing because it's going through the same means of like how information comes through. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So I'm like, why would it be different for me to see you in my mind's eye physically versus in my mind's eye? Why is there a difference between seeing you FaceTime versus in real life? Because you're a spiritual being. Why is there a difference? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand. Because I think that clicked for me when I did my first ghost hunt.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, it's not that I like wasn't experiencing other things by that point, but that was the first time of being like at a location where I was like,
oh my God,
picking up on more things. But yeah, no, I understand what you're saying now. The energy feels stronger, heavier to me if they are in my space versus not. But I think I've only really spoken to deities in my place and they drain me either way. Yeah. Because I also like, I don't know, I've talked about like the story when I was 8 of like Hades doing that.
It's like you like look at them and it's like you could like walk up there and touch them. Like that's what I'm saying is the difference. Is like when I'm imagining, because the reason why this is coming up is because they're talking about things being like transparent, and it's not necessarily that I see them transparently. It's that they feel more like an image on a screen than they do a physical being unless they are physically in my space.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
No, I understand.
I'm autistic, so I think about thinking a lot.
Random question, but do y'all think of talking to spirits as like how Charles Xavier uses his Cerebro helmet to talk to people in X-Men?
Oh, also, hi, Charles. I don't know if you're still here. I saw you a while ago. Say that again?
Do you think talking to spirits is like how Charles Xavier uses his Cerebro helmet to talk to people in X-Men?
I've never watched X-Men. I don't know who that is.
We're changing that. Rude. I love the X-Men movies. Amazing. Pretty much he has a helmet that because he has like telepathy powers and things.
Yeah.
So he uses his helmet to be able to like push his telepathy out farther to be able to connect with like the X-Men or different like mutants.
Oh, got you.
I don't think no. To me that is what like the God helmet is. That if you
people talk about it all the time. We watch this, what is it, like a TV show?
Yeah,
the
it's,
like 28 days or something. I'm dyslexic. A
Something
number
like that.
days in a haunted location.
Yeah. I think it's 28 Days Haunted.
And this guy had a fucking God helmet, and apparently it like triggers you to have like lucid something in your head. It triggers like if you were going to go to sleep, it triggers like lucid dreams. So it causes you to be in a weird mindset to maybe have a paranormal experience, but that seems like a paranormal experience in and of itself.
Loop. Do our plushies become alive because we put so much love and care into them and see them as a living being when we are small, so we like manifest that they have a soul? Yeah, I would say that that's like kind of like an egregore things. I know I keep being like, we've been reading things, but in like witchcraft, we have like a coven like meeting that we do once a month, and we created like protection totems and things for people. So like and I sculpted and made different gargoyles that we like put our like
Breathe
energy
the light
in.
into them.
Yeah,
the
to
life.
like to be like spiritual guardians of our like house and stuff. So like especially in like things like witchcraft, there
the same
is
thing
like
as using like a puppet.
yeah, same as using like a puppet or things like that. But I mean, when I was a kid, I think we've talked about our spirit guide, Seraphina, who's a seraph.
Yes.
We like figured that out because I had like a stuffed animal as a kid that I called that, and I would talk to her. So that's also a thing. I find it easier to communicate with spirits if they're in the same place as me than remotely. No, I understand that. I have a feeling one of my spirit guides is a fox, but I can't tell if it is or whether it's a separate entity of nature or a sign.
It doesn't feel like a spirit guide, but more like a familiar type thing. I feel like you incarnate with it in a lot of different lives.
Yeah, you can also like ask for like a confirmation of the things by like asking for different like signs, symbols, confirmation of things, kind of like we've been talking about. So I'm gonna move that there. But yeah, I also don't know why he does that, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, since this is a video or live stream about mediumship, we should probably also say, I know we kind of mentioned it Because people always like come at us with misinformation of like you have to be in a physical space to talk to spirit, and since we're talking about it over and over again, we don't think that's true, but it is one of the comments that we get the most of like, how can you see spirit through a screen? Number one, I could argue that how can I see human living people through a screen, for one, if you want to like think about it in a physical sense. But at the same time, in the mediumship niche, it is a lot more accepted that when you are a medium, you are talking to spiritual energy that is non-physical and you are inherently connected to it. So you're talking about the like space in between things that connects all of us, where the quote-unquote Akashic records is. That is the information that ties us together. Separation is an illusion, so we have the ability to talk to things that are not physically in our space.
Yeah. So I was Googling it to make sure I was right. So it's called the theory of observation. So scientists way back when were like observing how light particles function and how light works. And when they shined the light, because we know light is wavelength, but when they shined light through like a gap in like a hole, it became particles. And so they're like, but we know that it's like, we know that light is waves because of wavelengths and how we can see like visible light spectrum, all of that. And so the theory of observation is when you observe that thing, that is when it takes place. So there's like other theories that kind of like tie into that. And this was talked about in the astral projection book. So I'm probably gonna do a poor job at explaining it right now, because I'm just like fully pulling it out of like my memory. But we'll like go into all of it more when we get to that video. But the idea is if you have like two particles that are grouped together, one is, or like two balls, and when they're together, it's whatever. But when they separate, one is going to be green and one is going to be blue. Yeah. It's not until you observe one that you will know if it's green or blue. And if that one is green, you automatically know that the other one has to be blue. But that does not happen until you make the observation. So the idea is once you observe something, that is when it decides when it's going to be red or blue. Yeah. Or green or blue. And they tied that to mediumship and it kind of explains how we view mediumship of like spirit, deities, whatever. They are not physical beings. They're not limited to our like physical locations like we are. Yeah. So if, let's say we all are working with Loki, for instance, he just exists. But if I want to talk to him, then I am observing him and then suddenly he is there. That is similar to how it works, like how it works with videos. Like they were there during that point in time. Yeah. So we are observing them. So that is, I'm doing a very poor job at explaining this, and I know I am, so I'm sorry. But your people tend to like define like spirituality and the paranormal and spirit, all of that, by what we as humans are like physically capable of doing. But like if you think about lobsters, they can see more light and more colors that we have no idea exist, that we cannot visibly see. There's a whole array of light and spectrums and colors that we physically cannot see, but we know they exist. So there's different like, I think that same thing applies to like mediumship and spirituality and like what spirit is capable of. Yeah. Like they can be in multiple places at once because everything is also like an illusion. There's also theories that like time isn't linear because it really isn't. We as humans just perceive time as linear because of how we age and how physicality works. But science talks about how like when you take out the physicality, time works very different. Like We measure everything in the speed of light because that is what we are tangibly able to like see, but there's so much more that we still don't understand, and people are like researching. So it's
there
like
are things that we can't understand as human beings because we are in the existence with the most like restriction limit. But it's always like confusing to me when people are like, how can you see spirit through a screen? And they believe that we're mediums, or like think that we're mediums if you're saying that of, well, I can do it if they're physically there. Okay, so you think that we are talking to spirit, but you don't think that they can be like captured through a video, number one. Number two, they're also non-physical beings, so like why do they need to be in your physical space? As well as like, I don't see a difference. I am a part of a collective conscious. I am the same energy as this microphone, as Riker. So like, if it is a part of me, then I should be able to just pick up that information. It's like I'm a cell in a body.
Which is where that the like empty space in between like the molecules and stuff of an atom. Yeah. That is the thing that helps connect all of us, and that is where it's theorized that the Akashic Records is, and how mediumship works, because all of that has it goes into a lot of like quantum mechanics, quantum theory. Yeah.
And as human beings, we have a hard time understanding the system that we're all together, like connected together, because we are separate beings living in this like realm of existence. But we have other things that are similar to that help us understand that type of system, and that is like the body. Each one of those cells are separate cells, but they make up the rest of the body. Why isn't the blood know anything about what's going on with the rest of the body? It is impacted by what's going on by the rest of the body. So it is the same thing of like, oh, okay, I can talk to your grandmother because she is one of the cells that are a part of our body. So we are experiencing this realm together as a like conscious being. Does that make sense? So yeah.
And I don't know, it also because I've been hearing a lot of arguments lately about like people define like paranormal investigations as trying to prove the paranormal, and they're like, we have not found scientific evidence that it exists, or like it doesn't exist because we haven't found like scientific evidence that it does. But we also have not found scientific evidence that proves that it doesn't exist. And that is why it is like paranormal, like
things happening,
unexplained things, because it's things that it's things that do not fit in our limited worldview and our like physical perception of what is possible, so we don't understand it. So that is part of why, like, if you don't believe like spirit can exist, then you're not going to believe in mediums, and that's like okay, like that's your personal belief and perception, and that is completely fine.
They try to put it on us of like, why don't you want to prove that ghosts exist? And I'm like, do you know that people in this like country don't believe that like global warming exists,
or they think the Earth is flat,
There are people that are literally like, well, what happens when you're in a plane and you have a level? It stays level the entire time, so that means the Earth is flat. But we have pictures from space that show the Earth is round.
Well, and the most interesting thing to me when doing all of this reading and research is Em and I, we've had like a lot of things that we're sharing have been like things besides the stuff where I'm like, books, this is what this explains. Yeah. Like our opinions have been like formed through like our personal experiences and our communication with spirit.
Has told us, yeah.
But what
it's being validated.
But when I'm reading things, I've like it's been validated by like ancient cultures that I had no idea about, or like the science and like this whole quantum theory. I'm like, holy shit, this like
makes sense with like ideas that we have.
Like quantum theory, this like theory of observation, the like actual like nothingness, like the 0 point that is in between the atoms, like the 0 point zone, like they're like, oh, this is like how everything is connected. This is how separation is an illusion, because atoms and particles make up everything, and there is this space of this 0 point space where nothing can exist, that is in everything. It's in our skin, it's in our brain, everywhere. And they've even been studying to see like how like brain waves, like how like your neurons fire and can potentially connect to those things. And like
Fractals.
Yeah, I don't know.
Patterns.
We've like, I do reading and I'm like, holy shit, like the way that ancient Egypt describes like a soul and what it is and the soul journey and like these ideas and beliefs of like what spirit can and can't do lines up with like what spirit has told us about it. Yeah. And like that is interesting to me. And so I think that it has to go beyond just looking at everything from a straightforward like physicality scientific thing, and you have to look at things from different views, because the more you like look at things, and I feel like it makes me sound so like woo-woo weird, but I'm like,
but you're going into the science of things where most people don't.
Yeah, I don't know, like because like I do think that like there's a lot bigger of a like intersection between science and spirituality than people fully realize, because
people just want to be like, oh, well, there's no scientific studies, scientists wouldn't even touch that's ridiculous, why would you ever believe it?
But there's actually
that's false.
There's actually a lot that science are doing to like like look into these things to explain it. And there's not concrete proof, and maybe like you feel like you need concrete proof of those things, and that is okay. But that is your self belief, and I feel like that's what it comes down to.
What does that look like though?
Yeah, what
we have a literal picture of the earth, and there's still people that believe it's flat.
Yeah. So and also if like science, let's say like hard evidence proof comes out that like there's nothing in the afterlife, there's nothing after, everything is like completely different than like how we believe, then we were wrong. And I also don't understand how that is a negative thing. If like we have ideas and theories and are thinking about things and we're curious and we learn later that maybe it's not real.
Yeah.
I still was like challenging my thought. I was open to different ideas. I was learning, exploring like different things. And to me, that is the point of being human. That is the point of existing. That is why we are here, to like explore these like these things. Even if you want to call it like instincts, like that is like what we as humans like want to do.
Yeah, because I think it's also unfair that people are like think that we are preying upon people who are grieving by like telling people that we believe that spirit exists and that we're going to these haunted locations to quote unquote prove that ghosts exist, because like we're not preying upon people that are grieving. We might be challenging people's belief systems. We might be challenging the way people think, and that is not like manipulative. Also, I'm not telling you how to think.
I also want to like interject this, more science things. There's an anesthesiologist that has done study about near-death experiences and like consciousness. And did you guys actually know that while anesthesia, like we know that it works, we have no actual understanding of why it works or how it works. But when people are put under anesthesia, it's like nothing. It's just black. There's nothing.
Yeah, it's like you didn't exist for a while.
And there are people who are like, well, what if it's just a black screen? But when they've studied that, like the brain does act different between like near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, trance experiences versus that. And people who have had near-death experiences, like there was like a big study of like talking about near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and they all had like common things, and they were like people who were like, yeah, I'm just like a normal person. I like, they screened them for like mental illness, schizophrenia, like all those things. They had no mental illness. they weren't like into any like spiritual things. Like they were just like your like normie type people, and they all explained very similar experiences, and it differed from what being under anesthesia is. So it's like consciousness is fucking weird.
That's
like,
why there's a neurologist studying
mm-hmm.
consciousness.
And there's even a debate about what actually constitutes as being dead.
Well, that's why I'm like getting annoyed with like debunkers being like, okay, well, let's just see how accurate you can be. There are neurologists that are literally like looking into how your brain acts when you're having out-of-body experiences versus like anesthesia versus like they say that they can like initiate an out-of-body experience and it looks different than astral projection does. Like
yeah,
that's the stuff that's like cool that would actually like prove it, is how is it affecting your actual like physical body, because the information is literally just like telephone. It's going through like multiple filters, so there's no way that it can be fully accurate 100% of the time.
Yeah, but there's a lot more like studies that have been done, especially about like consciousness and like what constitutes as death, even what constitutes as a soul and things like that, like that people are researching, have researched, have been like trying to figure out from like a scientific thing. And like they have theories. There are plenty of scientists who believe in those things. Like the whole, like there's debates about like what death actually is, like because physically they're not here, but what do we know about soul? Or someone can be like brain dead, but their body might still be able to function. Like they're like comas. Like there's so many things that like we still don't know. So like even defining death is like for like these people, like neurologist people who study it, they're like, yeah, like we consider like death as when like your like brain can no longer like keep your bodily functions going, even if your brain is still there, but your bodily functions are cut. They consider you like partially dead at that point. Like, and there's a lot of like moral and ethical things behind it too. So it's just, I don't know. The like more I look into everything, I'm like, there's so much more that is not being talked about, and it's being simplified into like this one thing. And I don't know, we're because the whole reason we started doing it is we like listened to a podcast about someone like explain astral projection, and I was like, well, that's not right. I don't believe that. And so I went to like look for like sources and like look at it, and like like there's Wikipedia, but like there's a lot of like woo-woo things. Or if you like look up on YouTube like what is astral projection, there's like no one on YouTube like
it's just like
breaks down the science or anything stuff. Yeah, it's just like, it's when you leave your body, this is how you do it. And I'm not necessarily interested in the like how to astral project. I'm interested in like what it is and how it's possible. Like
because like I don't know, you have debunkers that say, oh, mediumship is just mental illness. 99% of the time when I test people, it is just mental illness. But there are literally studies on like astral projection showing how the like probability that the person's soul is leaving their body, they're having an out of fucking body experience. So that is like potentially possible. And you just say, oh no, you can't talk to the spirit realm because ghosts don't exist. Then why are you leaving your body?
What do you mean Wikipedia is the antithesis of the truth? Yeah. So like, I don't know. And again, people are like, oh, like the like CIA like was like testing remote viewing and like astral projection and these things. And like it turned out that none of it was real. I was like, but are you looking at like the other studies about consciousness from like Stanford or these other institutions who have like spent like years researching it? Have you talked to like have you looked into like what different neurologists talk about
Yeah.
in terms of like consciousness and death? Like, have you talked like anthropologists,
spiritualists? Like,
are you looking at the cultural
religious
differences?
cultures.
Like, have you looked into where some of these beliefs stemmed from? Because
Yeah, because
where
it's a
we-
widely accepted thing that like astral projection is a thing.
yeah, like
Why?
yeah, where did it come from? Like, why is it such like a normalized thing now? Because yeah, like every like spiritual, especially if you go in the spiritual community, like it's like, oh yeah, I astral projected, I did this, but I don't know. I'm like, I want to talk to the neurologists, and even if a neurologist is like, no, it's not real, whatever, this is like the neurology about it, then at least we still like learned what it is and
where it came from.
And we're understanding it. Like,
yeah, that's why we want to do deep dives, because was it Johnny Harris?
Johnny Harris
Does stuff like that. We watched a video of his of the Bermuda Triangle, and he did a whole bunch of different research of why is it so weird here, and he basically like came to the conclusion of like it's nothing like weird paranormal is happening. It is just like a big body of water where there's a lot of like weird current things going on.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, yes, everything can like, you can always find like some logical thing that could explain a noise or what you see or what you hear. Obviously, like, but it's to me, it is the experience attached to it that inform that like what you take away from it.
Yeah, because everybody likes to say like our equipment, like paranormal equipment, is fully debunked. You shouldn't be using it because it's like crap, it's debunked. That is not the point of the equipment. The equipment is not necessarily measuring paranormal activity. It is when the equipment acts paranormally that it shows evidence of the paranormal. Because there's not a like full science for it. It is like parasciences.
Yeah.
So there isn't like we don't have a like fish finder for fucking ghosts. That's not how it works, because we're in the physical realm. We don't have the technology to do that. But when something like goes off intellectually, like that is something acting paranormally, unexplained.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. Yeah, like maybe like a REM pod going off is like, well, it's a walkie-talkie or it's something else. But what about the times where it's not? When you like know that like what if you like take a REM pod in the middle of nowhere, there's like no EMF, you have no walkie-talkies, and you just sit there and stare at it and things go off. Like,
yeah, just because someone posts their ghost hunt online doesn't mean they're faking it for money.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm totally fine with people like questioning us about and like questioning like mediumship, because I get it. It's a weird thing. Like there's still so much like we don't know about mediumship as mediums. Like
that's why we're like so open to it.
Yeah. But the point of our channel for us is to help like start more conversations about things and look at things in a different way, and then share our personal experiences and how they've affected us, and like just let people like see it, because
it's very like documentary style. If you're documenting the people that are in these locations, how they communicate, that's the investigating. Because a lot of people are like, you're not paranormal investigators because you're not proving that ghosts exist. We already believe ghosts exist. It would be very weird for like a medium to come in here and be like, I have to prove that they are real. There's
paranormal investigators who don't believe that there's an afterlife or anything at all. So it's, you know, I think like there's a lot more that ends up going down to like individual beliefs about things. And I think when it starts crossing that territory, it gets a little hard to be like, you're right, you're wrong, yes, no, or whatever, because I don't know, all of us could be in a room together and have some crazy paranormal thing happen, and we all could have like a different perception, because that observation theory, the theory of observation, the like one of the big takeaways is like our reality is just what our perception is. Like,
yeah,
there could be nothing behind me right now, but if I turn around and it's there, well, I'm observing it, so now it exists. Like there's, which I know, like it's a very like weird, trippy thing, and
it's like, does the tree make a noise in the middle of the forest if no one's able to hear it?
Yeah,
that sort of questions.
And I don't know, what about the times where like mediums have been like very accurate? Like the very first time like we went to Brushy, Emma and I knew nothing about the location at all. And we were talking to like the inmates, and they were telling me about like prisoners escaping and like what happened at the jail. And then we went on the tour and it was all validated. Yeah. And like people might be like, well, what about like, well, it's a jail, so of course people are going to escape. And I was like, no, like I was like picking up specific details. Or even when we went to Prospect Place, like I knew nothing about it, not a single thing. And I saw a woman standing in a specific pose, in a specific dress. She looked a specific way. I described it specifically on camera. And then when I went in blind, and when I finally went in and looked around, there was an exact picture of exactly who I saw.
Yeah.
Was that just like a lucky guess? Or like, I don't know, like I don't know. Do I believe that every single thing that I pick up on is like 100% accurate? No. Because I don't know. I mess things up in like normal, like physical, mundane things. So of course I'm going to mess up other times, but I've had experiences like we've had footsteps running up to us in Ashmore, very loud physically on like a concrete floor, like alone in a building, no one else there, like.
Right. So, sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say because people told us that they like our color-coded mics, so I'm like,
You're like, yeah.
I'm like, Baker also changed the little buttons on our like audio interface to match them, and I'm just, I think it's cute. But yeah, that's why when people like come up to us and they're like, you're a fake medium. Like I literally took a class in college. It was a critical thinking class, which was not so great class for me. And they literally were like teaching us how to think critically about how mediums are just fake and are fishing for information. It is a widely like accepted thing that mediums are fake and they're just fishing. So like that is something that we have to deal with as mediums on the daily. And like while I was taking this class, I had been friends with for like most of my life of people who are mediums. They don't do it for money. A lot of times they're like traumatized by it because they're like, I just saw this dead guy walk across the room, and we're like in the art museum, and like, and he looked like he is from ancient Egypt, and I need to leave now because I'm having an existential crisis. Like, why would she lie to me? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why we're like, it's just, it comes with the territory of mediumship. Everyone is always like wondering if it's real or not. So
yeah, and
believe it if that's what you believe. Like,
yeah, and I don't know. At this point in time, if the only thing that people can point to like criticize us is just the fact that they don't believe in mediums, then like there's nothing I can do. Like if that's your personal belief, like communication with spirit is possible, then like that's okay. That's your personal belief. But I believe I can. And
right.
If this is a community where people do believe in mediums and are interested in exploring this, why is it bad for them to want to explore it?
Yeah.
There's even people who like are like, yeah, I don't really know the whole like understand the whole medium thing, or I'm a little bit of like a skeptic of things in the community, and like that's totally fine. Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it challenges your way of thinking.
Yeah. Riker did a deity reading for me, picked up on Athena, and I had no idea about Greek gods, but was 100% spot on when I looked into what Athena represented.
Dude, we saw a lot of Athena candles.
People
we
like
have,
Athena.
One left.
But yeah, I don't know, like, if you think, I don't know, because I just struggle with people only like claiming that we're fake because they don't believe in mediums, because it feels kind of like there's no, I don't know, like we're not actually being like viewed for like who we are as people and what is going on. And it's just like, well, like, I don't believe in mediums, so you're fake, you're lying to people. And it's like,
yeah, it's always, you're lying and you're manipulating people's like fears and emotions. And I'm like, oh my God, like people think that because they have like religious beliefs that we're like taking advantage of someone with these religious beliefs. But I'm like, okay, but we have the same beliefs. What the fuck do you mean?
yeah. But there's also so many people like in our community who like have different beliefs about things.
Yeah.
And
we're not taking advantage of people with religious
Yeah.
beliefs. Like we have beliefs.
Yeah. And I don't know, especially like the like people who are like members and in the server, like it's very much a like, I don't know, us like talking with each other and just like exploring different ideas, being like, hey, I had this thing, what do you guys think about it? Doesn't mean that anyone is right or wrong or it's real or fake. Like,
yeah, or it's like earth shattering, like going to like ruin your life.
Yeah. And I don't know, like for the most part, we've mostly just been viewed for like reaction videos.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, if that's like the only way that you'll like look at us and you don't believe in mediums and don't think it's possible to like for someone to like see spirit through a screen, then like what am I supposed to like say or do about that?
Yeah.
Like, because there's people like you need to like defend yourself, and like you're not like defending your mediumship, and I'm like, but you don't believe in it anyways.
Yeah,
like you don't believe it's possible anyways, so why do I have to sit and like,
I'm not here to prove it to you.
Yeah,
I can't convince a flat earther that the earth is not flat, just like they can't convince me that the earth is flat. Like, it's not gonna change anything.
But you know, our actual investigations, like people aren't looking at, like don't look at it. And I mean, if you actually watch them, like we're very transparent about what happens. And even like we're like, we share all of their raw footage. Like we've made lots of changes over like, I don't know, the like, and the reason we're talking kind of about this is another channel did a reaction of the side-eye guy's reaction to our reaction of of the Mackie and Amanda video from a few months ago, and that whole thing.
Guy.
So there was a lot more people kind of like talking about it again.
Yeah. A lot of confusion with mediumship.
Yeah, and so it was kind of like a reacception a lot, and it's just kind of, I was like, oh, do we like have to like rehash it all again?
Yeah,
so
we have so many videos on that one side guy video.
So,
which I think is funny that he was in here.
Yeah, and obviously like we love the side-eye guy. We hang out in his streams sometimes. He like you guys saw, he comes in here like
shit of, we're like weird misconceptions of our niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't think that like I don't know. I just struggle when it comes to like trying to degrade our character solely based on like someone else's personal beliefs. Like like it's the same people who like, it feels, I know it's like very different of like being attacked for being a medium versus like transphobic things, but it's the same thing as when like I just mentioned that I'm non-binary and people being like, there's only two genders, you're a woman, I hate you. Like, I'm not transphobic because I don't
Why would you even mention that?
This
is about ghost hunting.
Yeah, and I'm like,
it's
okay,
it was like 2 second mention, my guy.
Yeah. So I'm like, it, like, you're not actually like getting to like understand me as like a person. Like,
yeah, no,
we talked enough to the side-eye guy for him, like, for us to be like cool with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a debunker who doesn't believe in mediums. Like, we don't see eye to eye on the whole medium thing. And that's okay because like I don't know. We talked a bit. I feel like we're just rehashing a lot of the stuff that we talked about in the exclusive podcast.
It's more spicy in the podcast, the second podcast.
Yeah, like you aren't hurting yourself or anyone else who gives a shit. Yeah. And that's my whole like.
Yeah. That's why we keep saying we're not taking advantage of people. We might be challenging your way of thinking, but I'm not like preying upon people that are grieving. Like, if you watching us go on a ghost hunt and get paranormal activity that's unexplained and it makes you question your beliefs, I'm not preying upon your belief systems for that. It's my belief system that we're like trying to like grow and like evolve in, and you might have curiosities in it. Like, if it really bothers you that much, it might be because it's challenging your beliefs.
Yeah, I like learning and challenging like my ways of thinking. And
like when I was in 2nd grade at a Catholic school, I was like, it's kind of weird that we go up and we eat bread that this older lady is telling me is like some dude I don't know's body. Like, I gained consciousness, like Riker says.
Yeah,
and I started having my beliefs challenged.
I grew up Mormon and I learned about Greek mythology and I was like, it kind of doesn't make sense that there's only like God, Jesus, the Holy Ghost would exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if these people back then believed in something different, how like?
Yeah, because it is like really.
What about that? Like, so, it challenged my like belief.
Yeah, it's very frustrating when people like come in and you're like, you're taking advantage of people that are grieving because you're trying to like fake this narrative and lie to people that ghosts are real. And I'm like, that's your belief system. That's not my belief system. I'm not trying to like prey upon people for money. I'm trying to share my experience with other people that may have similar experiences. You know?
And I will say that one of the things that like at least made me feel a little bit better about like the reaction to the reaction to the reaction, blah, 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 the reaction, is there were people being like, hey, this is how other mediums describe it. This is why like Em and Riker see a man, but Amanda doesn't. It's like, it's different things.
Perception.
Because it's like, yeah, like, I don't know. There are literally people who lived and died and never knew the Christian God existed. Not exactly. No. And like, my biggest issue recently with everything has been like the commercialization and the Christianization of everything, because so much of like the stuff that like Em and I like talk about isn't just like rooted in Christianity.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've been like drawn to Hades since I was a kid. I don't know. I don't like, are you like, you don't have to believe in Hades, but it doesn't change the fact that I felt connected to him, his mythology, who he was since I was a kid. Like,
this should not be on your desk because I can't stop touching it. So if you hear it, I'm sorry. I have ADHD and autism.
Not like we adults who can make decisions with our own money. Well, that is also my biggest thing is, and we talk about it in the exclusive. I'm gonna like tone down the spiciness probably a little bit, but maybe not because I'm kind of in a like spicy mood. But I also am on new medication today. So I'm like,
I am ready to tell you all of my thoughts and opinions.
I'm like, let's fucking go.
Fucking go.
But I don't know. I see a lot of arguments of like, oh, like, for instance, like Sam and Colby, twin paranormals, like they're kids. They're dumb kids who don't know any better. They're stupid. I hate the kids, blah, 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 blah. Or else it's like they're taking advantage of these people. Like these people are stupid for believing in an afterlife and believing in mediumship. And I'm like, but our community is like adults. Most of you guys in here are older than me. Like,
when you have an audience, you attract the person that is most like you.
And like, to me, it feels like, I don't necessarily think that like infantilizing is like the word, but I'm like, to me, it makes it feel like you're claiming that anyone who has a belief system that doesn't match yours is like incapable of critical thought or like thinking about things, and like they can't judge for themselves what they believe in.
Yeah.
Like,
because like science is a belief system.
Yeah, like
it can't cover everything because there is a limit to human awareness.
Mormons don't believe that dinosaurs exist, and we have fossils of them.
Yep. Yeah, so it's just like check yourself of what you're trying to ask us to do.
Yeah.
As two people on the internet like making videos about our experience with the paranormal.
Yeah, and just sharing it. And like and again, this isn't like us saying that like you can't talk about it, you can't critique things, you can't like bring things
Feel
up
free.
Because like
debunk all you want. We love it.
Yeah, and we want our community to like be challenged in those like we like being challenged in our like beliefs, and like because it forces us to think about things differently. And I think that it's good for other people to also like be challenged. Like I think if it was just a one size fits all, it'd be boring. I don't know. I'm not a part of an organized religion for a reason, because I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. ADHD.
I know.
40% of Americans believe humans lived with dinosaurs. I am autistic. You guys could probably diagnose me with autism. Like, just post anything about
dinosaurs.
That. I'm like, wait, what were we talking about?
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, there's been plenty of times where people in our community will say things to us that we don't agree with. There are times we say things that you guys might not like agree with, or be like, that's not how I view that. But
yeah,
I think that to me, that's what I like about things. I don't know. I just like.
Yeah, what were you saying beforehand? I thought I was like fully like
I also
replaced
got
with dinosaurs.
No, I also got ADHD.
Like, wow.
I also was like ADHD, like dinosaurs.
I was like, you want to hear all my fun facts about dinosaurs now? No.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm just here to, I don't know, hang out, share my experience, like be weird. Like I want, like we just are creating a place where we can like be ourselves, be weird, share our interests.
Okay.
And like I saw someone else say like in like a live the other day, like if you don't like debunkers, don't watch the content. It's like, if you don't like mediums, don't watch mediums. Like I think that it's, I don't know, it's up to like you of what you want to believe in, and what, I don't know, what you think.
Yeah, because what I was gonna say is that the like thought about debunkers, like we're not against debunking. We want you to debunk. That is like the thing that is like necessary. But the last time we did this with like the side-eye guy, that is when we started realizing that both are necessary for this field, both paranormal investigators and debunkers, because we keep each other in check. So the thing that is frustrating is the assumption that we are doing something like on purpose or with like malicious intention. So that's the part that like makes me angry, is that people come in and are like, you're taking advantage of X, Y, and Z, when like I'm not doing that. I am like, I have the same opinions of the people that are like supporting us. So like, I'm not on here lying. We're not on here faking things. Like that's not it.
It also especially bothers me because from the jump of this channel, we have tried to be like extremely transparent about, even when like our biases come into place. Like there's plenty of times where I'm like, hey, this is not mediumship. This is just my opinion as a human being. This isn't like from spirit. This is me, Riker, saying it. Like, I don't know. Like we try to be as like transparent and like, I don't know, open about like our intentions, what we're doing. Like we literally did like the whole thing where like, yeah, we're changing our content because we've felt like we had to do a specific type of content and that's what people expected of us, and we weren't enjoying it. And so we sat down with each other and we're like, we want to do more deep dives. We want to explore more of these things and like do other content that interest us versus what people want. Because like with like the whole like reaction thing, like, yeah, it wasn't a good video. We know that.
It's not on our channel anymore.
Those who have been around for a while, like you guys know, like we would post like a reaction video every month, and then we changed it to like once in a while, and then we changed it to doing live streams. Yeah. And now we pretty much only do it where we like hang out in like Discord with our members and watch things every once in a while. Like our content has evolved over the like that like reaction video is over. It'll be like probably almost, no, I think it's like over a year old. Our content has changed so much since then. So much. Like the editing style, how we do like everything about it has changed so much. Discord is only for members, so you have to be a member to get access to the Discord. Yeah, it's a private. So it's like a feature. But yeah, I don't know, like I don't remember what I was saying.
I don't either.
Guys, what was I saying?
We're talking about our content.
Oh yeah, our content has changed so much over the years. So because on the reaction video, someone was like, I tried to like find the video and it's not on the channel anymore. And I responded and I was like, yeah, because like a while ago,
3 months ago with
like like this was a few months ago. We addressed it. We took it down because it does not reflect us. We've changed. We're trying to like.
You're gonna react to one of our videos. Now you have to react to one of our ghost hunts and not us reacting to someone else. If you want to go react to our reaction, like if you want to react to the video we're reacting, go find it on their channel.
But someone replied to me being like, hey, yeah, like we've already like gone through this. We deleted it because like we're not proud of it and like we've changed so much. And someone was like, well, you should like stop lying and grow and evolve and like be a different person. And I'm like, but that's what I just said. Like that's what we're doing. Like we have evolved our content and there's nothing wrong with doing reaction content. We didn't enjoy doing it. Like it felt like we were doing it for reasons that we didn't like. And we were very like open and honest about that. And we agreed with the criticism of the video. And even before that, we started doing a lot more like debunking things. And because we realized like we don't do like as much like overt, like clear debunking as we should. So we make more of an effort to do that. Like we are like learning and growing. Like I've only been doing paranormal investigations. September will be 2 years. I've only done a handful of locations. Like, so there are going to be things that I do wrong. There are going to be things that I mess up on. But I think that like investigators, people should be allowed to like grow and learn from their things so they can be better at it instead of like just reducing it to like they're fake because I don't believe in mediumship and that's it. They're 100%. I don't like them because it's like we've come so far since we started. Like, I don't know, and I am very like proud of like.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Thank you for the sticker.
Thank you for the sticker.
I don't know. I am super proud of like the content we've been putting out lately, and like I love all of I love all of our stuff that we've been doing. So I just love you guys as people. You're stuck with me now. I'm here for you guys regardless of the content. I appreciate it. We love you, Brendan.
Part 2 for what?
I think
like
the Shanley.
The Shanley? I don't know. Beginning of this, we're talking about how we lost access to our video software.
Yeah.
Or video editing software.
It might be a little bit delayed.
So we're working on it. Riker was in the hospital because they were having stroke-like symptoms. Watch the beginning of this live stream.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm fine with like debunking something with like debunking things that we get wrong because we do. Like, yeah. And that's completely fine. Like, but claiming that like we're purposely, maliciously, and have the intent to fake things when we don't.
Yeah.
It is hard because like I like doing art. I don't know. I like what we do, and I take a lot of pride in like the quality and want everything to be like the best it can be. And so having people just like, I don't know, like reduce it to a single, like reduce us to a video where we're visibly not okay because we are literally went to like, I don't know, we got like stabbed in the back by some of the people closest to us and had to take all of our content down that was up, and we recorded that because there would have been no content on our channel otherwise. Like, you know, like, and
like our job at the time.
Yeah, and
like
I also that
income.
was also right after I got laid off of my job.
Yep.
So like, you know, like it sucks because like I agree with the criticisms. I agree that it was not a good video, that we didn't have a lot of energy, that we were monotone, that we were boring. Like we agree with the criticisms. But that's also not who we are. And I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. We talk a lot about a lot of it more in depth in the part 2 of the podcast. So
yeah. So if you guys are interested, because we have to wrap this up because we have another video live stream that we're gonna do.
We should just do it ourselves. I don't think I have it in me to like stream. I'm sorry.
It's 6:30.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll eat dinner and we can do it ourselves, but I don't think I have the energy to.
We need to wrap this up. So if you guys are interested in the podcast that we keep talking about, we're trying to figure out how we're going to edit it because we don't have Adobe anymore. So we are going to let you know probably like Discord, Instagram when that's going to come out. Follow us on Haunted Smoke and Mirrors. We're going to be releasing a podcast about love and light bullshit where we talk about the things that we basically don't like about toxic positivity in relation to like the woo-woo love and light era, new age spirituality. And then we are starting this new thing for Smoke and Mirrors patrons and members that we are going to be doing a part 2 podcast where we get into the tea of things and we talk about things that we wouldn't normally talk about in our like main public like YouTube video podcast, whatever. So we might talk about like some tea going on in our life. We could talk about things about us. We could talk about topics that don't necessarily fall into our niche or aren't like long enough to fill a podcast space. So go follow us over there if you're interested in our exclusive content. Make sure to follow us in our members on here or on Haunted Smoke and Mirrors. And we'll give you guys updates when we figure out when the Shanley Part 2 is going to go out.
Also, do you guys like this? Do you like the chat on the bottom? Do you guys like, and do you guys like these type of things? Do you want us to do more of these like hangout chat kind of Q&A style things where we like talk about stuff? Like, please let us know, because
yeah, because we also want to do live streams where we're doing gaming stuff too on Twitch, so follow us there. But we want to do more live stream type things. Love these chill chat streams.
Hell yeah. And I'm glad that I'm glad the like audio and everything worked, because I feel like you guys can hear us a lot better when it's this.
When it's a mic instead of a lav mic.
I love hearing Riker get spicy. Listen, Alex has been one of my longest internet friends. I've known him for like 10 years now. He's seen me get real spicy. This is still like podcast, like part 2 podcast. Riker was a lot spicier.
Oh,
I'm a lot spicier of a person than I probably present on camera, because I do bite my tongue and hold myself back, because
we talk about some fucking tea in this part 2 podcast that we are going to be releasing once we figure out how we're going to do that.
Yeah, but thanks for hanging out, guys. We love y'all. Yeah, we'll update you guys on all of the things, and we'll see you later, I guess.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
We appreciate you all coming. Goodbye.
Oh, I don't even have an ending screen. Well, we're just ending.
Bye.